Don't you know, girl? Don't you know, girl? I am the one for you. Don't you know, girl? Don't you know, girl? I am the one for you. Don't you know, girl? Don't you know, girl? I am the one for you. I am the one.
Times wanna say what's on my mind, but I didn't. Just the other day, I wrote down all the things I said, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. Baby, I know that you've been wondering. Nothing, in case you didn't know, baby, I'm crazy about you. I would be lying if I said that I could live my life without you. Even though I don't tell you all the time, you had my heart a long, long time ago. In case you didn't know, in case you didn't know, hey. The way you look tonight, that second glass of wine got me thinking. There's something about the kiss, boy, you didn't mean it. Got me thinking, I'm thinking. One of the things that I've been feeling, oh, it's time you hear it. In case you didn't know, baby, I'm crazy about you. I would be lying if I said that I could live my life without you. Even though I don't tell you all the time, you had my heart a long, long time ago. In case you didn't know, you got all of me, and I belong to you. You're my everything. In case you didn't know, baby, I'm crazy about you. I would be lying if I said that I could live my life without you. 'Cause even though I don't tell you all the time, you had my heart a long, long time ago. In case you didn't know, ooh, in case you didn't know.
Sia uli die sombren zelten meg, et zu i te saluda, antes Dio niga, Radzaudzen melekes fredzes, durante in todo il memu, a nogi distanza, como gupu gipalu, zaniman malak guafi, Ikonuna sugi ai.
'Cause
la notte nei banderata gaigi pues atan fanni bandera kau esta pagua pumalapa giluk tanu man libri sentami ti man ko badi
Ron. Morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. If you like acai bowls,
Yeah.
you'll love the skyline we have. Right, look at that, you
Oh,
guys.
wow. That's beautiful.
If you love acai bowls, if you love dragon fruit,
I love it when the sky's like this because then you can really see the missile from North Korea coming.
oh,
When it's clear, you know what I mean? Hey, good morning. It's 6:25. Welcome to another great episode of The Link. It's proudly sponsored by Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, ITN, and Jack in the Box. As usual, a big, giant, huge show for you guys this morning here on this Tuesday, the 1st of the month. Yep, it's February 1st.
I do have a bit of breaking news to pass along to you guys. I owe you guys a coffee pot.
All right.
If you were wondering what was up with that, Bree asked me because she was like running a few minutes late today, so she's like, "Dude, can you make coffee?" And I was like, "Put it this way. This past weekend, just because I was bored, I made my own, like tinyurl.com. I made my own URL shortener in like 3 hours. I can't make coffee to save my life. I was washing out the coffee pot because I've never done it before. The coffee pot top fell into the toilet, you guys, so I threw it away.
Yeah.
So my bad. That's on me. I owe you guys a new coffee
First
pot.
of all, thank you for being honest and telling us because you could have easily just fished it out, washed it with the antibacterial, and we wouldn't have known.
Or I could have just fished it out and just put it back on. which-
You're right. Yeah. Thank you, man.
So what kind of coffee pot do you guys want?
We're gonna upgrade Keurig. Right, Keurig. Is Keurig still in? No, there's another one that's like the that's an upgrade.
Keurig.
Yeah, we went 0 to Keurig. Real
You know,
quick.
I only got one job, right?
Yeah.
You never hear Joser's voice, and all of a sudden, Keurig.
Keurig. He's like Keurig boss. Keurig.
Okay, so looks like I'm on duty to buy a Keurig. So
Yeah. Or you know what? I can grab one when I go out on our exploratory trip to the Philippines.
field trip for the link.
Yeah, I feel like we need to go research the situation there in the PI.
Well, as Nestor reported last night, you can actually do that because the Philippines has been opened up to international travel once
That's
again.
crazy, yeah, Nestor. That's pretty amazing.
That's big.
I feel like it was one of the top Google searches over the last couple of days, Jay. 627, big show again. There's a bunch of news out of North Korea. Oh, God. What was it? North Korea came out with a release saying that they have tested a missile that could reach Guam.
That is capable of reaching Guam.
We'll have that in the news here coming up, but it's really making the rounds nationally, right, Bree? All over. So there's that, and then
I wonder how people feel any differently about Eagles Field this morning after
Right.
hearing that. Like, that Eagles Field
that
concept,
missile defense system. Maybe it's
that's maybe not such a bad idea, no.
Good morning, guys. Johnny Cassian comments in here. Good morning, KUAM and the Chookies community on the beautiful island of Guam. Rana Nim, my friend. Rana Nim.
Good morning, bro.
So there's the North Korea thing. There's also the mild Omicron surge continues. Sarcasm intended there as we saw. Just so sad. 5
Yeah.
COVID-related fatalities last night.
And also more Omicron confirmed
Samples,
instances
right,
on
yeah.
Guam. 10 for 10.
Right. So, Jay, what is because I saw that the cases, God forbid we're in a situation where we look at 500 cases and we say, oh, it's going down. But what was the number of tests run? Someone was asking me this morning, where is the lower number of cases because they're running fewer tests since they're being stingy with the tests, since they
Yeah, because of
reprioritized or something?
Yeah, the prioritization and the new policy that has the we've talked about this. You can call it a pecking order if you want, but the way that the testing is being prioritized. If you're wondering about testing today, I'm looking at the Eventbrite page right now. Again, you do need, say this all the time, you do need an appointment if you want to be tested at the Tizen site. And you can go to tinyurl.com/COVID-stops-with-me. Slots available today, tomorrow, basically all week. There you go, Joe, sir. There are tickets, as it were, available for that. So if you go to tinyurl.com/COVID-stops-with-me and you need to be tested, you can get that. Last night, I don't believe the total number of tests were reported because, remember how like on Mondays it can be like kind of a weird, they finally do report the private clinics.
What was it, Bree?
527 new cases.
Yeah.
The number of hospitalizations, 36. But yeah, as you said, and
What was the number of tests again? Sorry.
On Mondays, it's always kind of, off.
So it'll be like 200 from here, 100 from here.
Yeah.
100 yeah, okay.
But five of our fellow
Yeah.
Romanians, five
You know,
of our
it's
neighbors.
it's always sad, Jay, but a lot of them were testing positive during the surge.
Yeah. I know, and Bree's going to get into this in news, but
Yeah.
but one of the 286th person actually was pronounced dead on January 15th, and then the others were looks like Friday from over the weekend.
Right. Yeah. Then there's one on the 22nd too, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
27.
but guys, I mean, I know that our governor came out and said it's mild. Dr. Berg said, 500, 600, 700, 800, it's going to be okay. But just obviously people are dying, and what might be mild for you might be a deathbed for someone else. So, again, I know we're kind of out here on our own, but just be safer, guys. Be safer, please.
Also interesting is Bree, the number of the Omicron cases that were confirmed. We sent some samples to Hawaii. Remember, like last year when we did that, it was from December the 16th through the 27th. This time it was January 7th only to January 10th. So over the course of 3 days, we sent 10 samples evidently to our friends in Hawaii, and they returned 10 for 10 as Omicron.
Wow. 10 for 10.
Which basically says a lot about, like, and people have been saying it's 8 times as
More
infectious
contagious.
as Delta, and Delta was way more infectious than Alpha. Beta, and
Yeah. 6:31. Who's coming up on the show this morning? We've got the Board of Education with the chairman, Mr. Mark Mendiola, and one of our favorite board members, Ms. Maria Gutierrez, coming on. We've got Attorney General Levin Camacho this morning. Thank you. Sorry. And we've also got, they did this cool thing out of GCC, the Medical Assistant Student Organization. Jay's going to have an awesome interview on this. As they assisted with the homeless count and the point-in-time count.
And this is a function that, like, a lot of young students who are getting into healthcare, social work, that is a job that they will do. Many people probably don't realize they have to do that, but being able to tabulate our island's homeless community is very, very key to healthcare. So I'm actually looking forward to talking to these two young people, seeing what their method was and also what they learned from that. I mean, and this is going to make them better healthcare professionals, because if they can, have face-to-faces or like really get into the data of what Guam's homeless problem is and everything like that, it's going to make them better to hopefully solve the solution,
Right.
Provide the solution.
Yeah. 6:32. Good morning. February 1st, 2022. Again, you want to get into the news? Let's go for it. She's ready and standing by. Our first look at news is brought to you by Pacific Points this morning and every morning, right here on the link with the very latest from the KUAM News team on this February 1st, 2022. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Mantanani. You okay over there?
Yeah, his mask.
Jason gave you the duck mask.
I passed out the
What's
duck
the?
face
I know.
mask
Before we
today.
get into the news, what's the review on the mask, though, Bree? Do you like it?
If it's gonna keep me safe, yeah.
That's okay. Right on. The best
Again,
one's the one you got.
You can get these at Pacific Points, and I did.
Yeah, that's it.
And they bring you the link up.
I've got one. It just looked very complicated to put on.
I'm all about that mug life.
Mug? What is that mug?
What's
Bree?
mug?
Mask up, Guam.
Mask up Guam. What? You got to go like this. Mug life.
Bree's gonna be like Tupac. She's gonna have like the tattoo like right on the belly.
Mug.
It's like mug life.
Mug life.
And then the mask.
Mask up Guam. You're good at that, Bree. You're good at catch these little. Okay.
Let's get that
go.
trending, guys.
Let's get into the news.
Hashtag mug life Guam.
Before I get another Etababa. 6:33. First look at news again. Pacific Points. Sabrina, good morning.
Off it, everybody. It's making news all across the globe as tensions rise along the Pacific Rim when North Korea launched a missile capable of hitting U.S. military bases in the region, including Guam. Skylar Henry has more details from the White House.
North Korea released still photos of Sunday's launch. North Korea released still photos of Sunday's launch of an intermediate-range ballistic missile from a mobile vehicle near the Chinese border, as well as pictures it says were taken in space from a camera on the missile. The missile flew to an altitude of more than 1,200 miles before coming back down off North Korea's east coast. The Hwasong-12 has a range of up to 2,800 miles, making it capable of hitting U.S. military bases in Guam and Okinawa, Japan.
We are in close coordination and consultation with our allies and partners. That's not just South Korea, but Japan as well, about the threats that the burgeoning ballistic missile program by Kim Jong-un continues to present.
Japan's Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno
7時52分頃
said the missile launch threatens the peace and security of the country, the region, and the international community. The Biden administration says it remains committed to making sure North Korea does not become a nuclear nation and says it's willing to hold talks with the North over its ballistic missile and nuclear programs.
We remain committed to a denuclearized Korean peninsula. We remain committed to diplomatic talks. We've told Pyongyang we're willing to sit down without precondition to have those kinds of dialogues. But obviously, Kim Jong-un wants to go a different way. So we have to make sure that we're ready militarily on the peninsula and in the region.
This is the 7th North Korean launch of short or intermediate missiles this month, leading to some fears it's a precursor to North Korea's resuming tests of nuclear weapons or intercontinental ballistic missiles. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the
about
White House.
COVID-19's impact on the territory. The Joint Information Center announcing last night 5 more COVID-related fatalities. Here is the breakdown. The 286th was pronounced dead at the Chief Medical Examiner's morgue on the 15th. The patient was a 63-year-old man. He was unvaccinated with underlying health conditions. He tested positive on December 22nd. The 287th was pronounced dead on arrival at U.S. Naval Hospital on January 27th. The patient was a 57-year-old man vaccinated with underlying health conditions. He tested positive on the same day. The 288th, according to the JIC, was pronounced dead on arrival at GMH on January 29th. The patient was a 94-year-old woman. She was vaccinated, again, underlying health conditions. She tested positive on the 30th. The 289th COVID-19 related fatality was pronounced dead on arrival on January 29th at Naval Hospital. The patient was an 82-year-old woman. She was vaccinated, underlying health conditions. She tested positive again on the 29th. The 290th COVID-19 related fatality was pronounced dead on arrival at, again, Naval Hospital on the 29th. The patient was a 76-year-old woman, again vaccinated with underlying health conditions. She tested positive on the 29th. A total of 36 people with COVID are now hospitalized. There are 23 patients being treated at GMH, 13 at GRMC. 3 people are receiving ICU level of care at GMH. 25 patients vaccinated, 11 not vaccinated. Public Health has also released additional test results from Saturday to yesterday. Between January 29th and the 31st, there are now 527 new positive cases. 116 of these cases were reported through the Department of Defense. To date, there have been a total of 32,331 officially reported cases, 290 deaths, 6,929 cases are in isolation, and 25,112 people have recovered. Public Health has also received new results from virus samples sent to Hawaii for genome sequencing. All 10 samples that were sent were identified as the Omicron variant of concern. The virus samples were collected on Guam between January 7th through the 10th of this year. As of January 30th, a total of 132,996 of Guam's eligible population, that's residents 5 years and older, are fully vaccinated, while a total of 51,265 booster shots have been administered to eligible residents since September 29th. COVID-19 treatments are finally being administered to high-risk patients, and one of the antiviral pills were made available yesterday. Daniel Perez reports.
Monoclonal antibody sotrovimab, effective against the Omicron variant, has finally reached the island. PAG Chair Dr. Nathaniel Berg confirming they're already being administered through IV. Residents who take it will be monitored for an hour for any adverse reactions.
Over the weekend, it was provided to patients at GRMC and at GMH. And I think that was a good plan to let the hospitals do it first, because the patients are coming into the ER that are sick. This can have an immediate or near immediate effect of keeping them out of the hospital.
Dr. Berg confirms Guam received 120 doses of sotrovimab. As of Sunday, 8 patients were treated using the MAB therapy. As for the antiviral pill molnupiravir, they were distributed to pharmacies today and can be obtained by high-risk individuals with a doctor's prescription.
That medication is already in pharmacies. It's at the OCA Superdrug at AMC, American Medical Center's pharmacy, as well as in the Dedido Public Health Pharmacy North. and it will be further distributed.
Dr. Berg adds most local pharmacies are willing to help distribute the antiviral pills, even with the complications that come with it. Dr. Berg assures residents that these pharmacies were educated in the precautions on the pills, as well as who can and cannot take it. He adds Guam has a supply of molnupiravir to treat 232 patients. As for the Paxlovid pills, Guam has enough to treat up to 80 patients. As we reported, patients with serious kidney and liver problems, as well as those undergoing dialysis, cannot take the Paxlovid pills. Additionally, eligible children 12 years and older are able to receive the treatment. Daniel Perez reporting for Guam's News Network. Daniel Perez reporting for Guam's News Network.
In the CNMI, they're reporting 44 new COVID cases out of 290 tests conducted on the 30th. 25 were identified through contact tracing. 12 were found in the community. 7 via travel testing. 4 were identified on Rota. There are 10 hospitalizations, 5 unvaccinated, 4 vaccinated, 1 partially vaccinated. 1 patient is on a ventilator. The total case count in the NMI is now 4,908. CNMI Governor Ralph Torres has tested positive for COVID. In a press release, Torres says he was in close contact with a family member who tested positive and received a COVID-19 antigen test administered Sunday, January 30th, and then tested positive after 3 negative test results the week before. Despite testing positive, he says, I remain in good spirits and am not experiencing any symptoms. I am thankful for having received my vaccinations and booster shot and will quarantine at home as per current COVID-19 quarantine protocols. I will continue to telework while in isolation and will do my part to keep my family, staff, and community safe. Again, that was from Governor Ralph Torres in the CNMI. Schools on Rota are transitioning to a cohort system with rise in COVID cases there. Meanwhile, on Saipan, administrative staff are having to step up to fill in for teachers in quarantine. Tomas Manglotnya reports.
More COVID-19 cases on Rota prompting a shift in learning for students in the public school system.
The Rota situation, we are addressing it by switching to the cohort and remote learning at the same time. So we didn't shut down the school as they wish.
That means students can rotate between attending classes on campus and learning asynchronously online.
A lot of our students, some of our students still want to come to campus. We didn't want to dismiss that. We actually welcome that. But then there's the group that are scared or have for fear of getting the COVID, they decided to stay home. So we're accommodating them.
The schedule is temporary, in effect for just 2 weeks. They'll reevaluate plans based on attendance rates for both in-person and online learning. Back on Rota, at the elementary school, at least 8 school teachers and staff are sick and 15 students are in quarantine. At their junior-senior high school, 1 teacher and 2 students are in quarantine. Rota has more than 400 public school students. There aren't any changes for students on Saipan and Tinian, but at least 8 administrative staff, some of whom are former educators, on Saipan are now substitute teachers.
Right now, we're activating some staff as substitute teachers, staff from central office as substitute teachers to come in and help out throughout the days.
Teachers have to quarantine for at least 5 days and get tested for COVID on their last day. If they present symptoms on day 5, the clock resets and they have to quarantine for another 5 days.
We really want our students back face to face. There is no substitute of quality education where if we don't bring back our students.
Tomas Manglotnya for KUAM News.
Well, there is some welcome news for Guamanians who've been waiting to visit friends and family in the Philippines. President Rodrigo Duterte has authorized the reopening of the country for international travelers. The travel ban will be lifted effective February 10th for fully vaccinated arriving passengers. With more, here's Nestor Locanto.
Acting presidential spokesman Carlo Nograles made the announcement from Malacañang Palace on Friday.
Fully vaccinated international arriving passengers shall be required to present a negative RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to departure from the country of origin. Upon arrival, they shall no longer be required to observe mandatory facility-based quarantine.
Airlines are required to ensure that passengers have proof of full vaccination prior to boarding, and they must be recognized under the Philippine COVID-19 Interagency Task Force guidelines. The reopening is meant to restore the tourism industry, which, like so many other countries, has plunged since the start of the pandemic. It's a plan that spokesman Nograles says was delayed because of the Omicron surge.
We were supposed to do this on December 1 pa. And then we suspended it. We announced it already as early as November. We were supposed to do it December 1. We suspended it. And then now we are implementing it again beginning on February 10.
Passengers will still be required to self-monitor for any COVID symptoms for 7 days after arrival.
This is something that we will continue to monitor. But as of today and as of the moment, we are seeing that it's widely Omicron. And we are only accepting fully vaccinated. And we hope that we could ramp up even more of our kababayan, fully vaccination for more of our kababayans.
For WAMS News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
And now here's more on that death investigation that was launched after a trash fire in Chalanpago led to the discovery of human remains. Hannah Devonzo reports.
It was early Saturday morning when units from the Guam Fire Department responded to a report of a trash fire in Chalanpago off Route 10. Making the call was Anita Dula.
I heard this big bang, 7:30 in the morning. I ran out. My son was standing on the railing, and he was pointing down towards that side. I saw black smokes, and my son, I said, just stay there. So I ran in, I called the 911, but all we saw was all these cops, detectives, just coming down to that area.
The Guam Fire Department put out the trash fire, and upon further investigation, they found human remains.
Our officers responded, and after conducting their investigation, they contacted our criminal investigation section for further assistance. Later determined that the remains that were located and found are of human in nature, human remains.
This is an ongoing investigation, and GPD is asking the community to contact them at 671-475-8615 if you know any information or know of any recent missing person or overdue family member that has yet to return home.
In Decision 2022 news, it looks like Attorney General Levin Camacho will be seeking a second term. Camacho's wife signing for a candidate packet from the Guam Election Commission. Incumbent Senators Joe San Agustin, Jim Moylan, Talina Nelson have picked up candidate papers. Governor Lulian Guerrero, Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio are the only gubernatorial team to pick up a packet so far. Republican candidates Vince Borja, Sandra Seao, Don Equilani, and Jess Lujan, along with Democrats Roy A.B. Canata, Mikana Udui, Alejandro Gay, Dave Duenas, and Fred Berdallo Jr. signed for senatorial packets. Peter Santos picked up a delegate to Congress packet, as did Senator Nelson. Dwayne San Nicolas, Ken Leon Guerrero, Roy Gamboa, Elaine Ujoa, Kevin Nace, and Diamantino Conseco picked up senatorial packets without declaring a party affiliation. You can register to vote online at gec.guam.gov. A disaster relief assistance center will be stood up soon to address the flood of community questions about the various assistance programs that are available. Acting Governor Josh Tenorio made the announcement yesterday at a press conference for the just-launched Guam Homeowners Assistance Program. Once again, here's Nestor Lecanto.
There are online sites to answer frequently asked questions and call centers too, though they're often the source of frustration and complaints. So the administration has decided to add an old-fashioned face-to-face option.
In this center, we intend to have personnel from various agencies that will be able to provide assistance, answer questions, and help individuals complete applications for any number of the pandemic or relief programs that are being administered by the various agencies of the government of Guam.
A specific opening date and location will be announced later. Adelup has determined that more effective COVID treatments and management mean they're now able to offer in-person assistance. Meanwhile, the acting governor urged those who've fallen behind in their mortgage, utility, or property taxes to sign up for the Homeowner Assistance Program.
Please take the time to submit an application with the Guam Department of Administration. We want to help you. We have folks that are standing by, ready to try and determine your eligibility, and in some cases, make sure that you have the adequate supporting documentation to get your relief.
The online applications go live today on the Department of Administration website, and complete details on how to apply and the eligibility criteria are also available on doa.guam.gov. A total of $13.5 million in American Rescue Plan funding has been authorized. Each household is eligible for up to $15,000. Also on hand for the press conference were representatives from the utilities, banks, and Rev and Tax. They're also available to help. And then there's the Relief Center that's coming soon.
The governor and I look forward to trying to make sure that we help the people, make sure that they understand all of the programs and services that they're eligible for, and that the government of Guam agencies and their personnel will be standing by and ready to assist.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Will be standing by and ready to assist.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
GDOE and Public Health will begin hosting after-school vaccination clinics starting this afternoon. All eligible students with parental consent are urged to get the shot. First, second, and booster shots will be available for all 3 vaccines. Please bring your child's birth certificate. Parents or legal guardians must have a photo ID. Guardians have to have a power of attorney, and minors must be accompanied by an adult. The after-school vaccination today will be held at Orat Chalan Pago Elementary School from 3 o'clock to 6 p.m.
Home of the anteaters, right?
With your news in Chamorro, here's Kin Conception.
Buenas tardes, tiget sunto gifunut sa morgan ni KUAM News. Presenta ni Familian Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank. Manahuzang ni Departamento sa Salud Publiko segundo na tinalaikan flow chart no hafa paron sogi sa tangking positibo test mo para COVID-19. I-diferensya ni Primet sa uno kung timabakuna hao kabalis sa seso hao umihod sa otro siya, makarantina hao para 10 dias, lo sinya hao matutun talo mates gimina 5 dias na tempo. Preo ha ipamalo siya na reglamento para dito kabalis minakunan niya masyakulan malango hao padahi. Dito na isolate mais hao para 10 dias na tempo. Imina 2 para dito kabalis minakunan niya desta madulu kau ni booster pati kualifika hao. Ansa na diferensya sa kumuhumiho tagi otro ni positibo test niya lo te malango sinin temo pas para hafal ma quarantena para mates para umbira hao tatigi eskwela para itso mo. Preo ay reglamento para dito kabalis minakunan niya pa madulu kau ni booster como positibo test mo debi don isolate mais sahaw para 5 dias masyati malaungo sinitatemo. Masa sunto, i-goberno ni CNMI si Ralph Torres sa positibo test niya para COVID-19. Gi press release, giling niya si Torres na humiyot gi membro ng pamilya niya no positibo test niya para COVID. Sa receive di COVID-19 antigen na test gi Domingo, di atenta gi Enero, ana esta ma test stress biay sa negatibo e resulto gi antes di este na semana. Iling na masya positibo test niya malik espiritu niya dati experience sa nenten este na chatnot. Manay agradecimento na esta mabakuna gi sa madulog gi ni booster. Sa sempe quarantinan may sa gi gumaniya. Siguro reglamento ni COVID-19 na kinarantina. Ilingan na paro continuity tonya into internet but telework mentas gigi isolation. Do paro tsogi patenya paro na siguro naman sa familia niya, iso na staff, dan i community dot. Mas artikulo na fanlisto hamzo mapasi mas para gasto ng elektrisidad. Inatisa ni gasto sa tinatisa na na prevent PUC gimapos na simana no mahal sa fuel surcharge no mafananan liyak ulog yung sentimo kada kilowatt na ora. Pero kinubri palo gi gasto ng GPA para di under recovered fuel costs no balim 20.6 million pesos. Imediano na gastong power bills sa kaulo siyempre kasi 9 pesos 30 centimos kada mes sa tutungwe pago na dia. YouTube mo na sunto gifinut sa moro para bago na Martes kini KUAM News i GDOE sa ni Public Health sa para matutunamento jikling nagbinakuna gifinag po eskwela bago na dia. Todo ya zaman kwalifika na estudyante numan masedi ni numan na niya sa man maeepok para fan madulog. I-primet segundo sa ni booster na dulog sa manggayi esta para i-tres na klase namo binakuna. Por favor, sali gato higi i-clinic. Ni certificate finanagan ni Padgon mo. Imanay na pa di guardian siya. David yung mapresenta loki sa niya ID card ni gali tatu. I-guardian siya sa David yung matsuli guati power of attorney. Sa ibino di daan na famaguan. Sa David yung maisgayon ni adopt siya. I-after-school vaccination pago na dia sa i-order Chalan Pago Elementary School. Dito las 3 kita luanis talas 6 kipupaynyi. Para Guam News Network, Gualsikin Conception. Yasuto gifinut sa moro sa presenta sa ninafatto ni Familian Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, where you get smart insights into your finances so you can make smart decisions with your money. With a daily personalized feed, you can compare your monthly income to spending. That's better. Discover where your money is actually going. You might be surprised. See what's essential and what isn't. The more you use the app, the smarter it gets. With insights from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
Let us know what's up on our KOM News WhatsApp tip line at 671-727-0094. Share information about what's happening in your town, on Guam or the CNMI, and what you want us to know. Reach us on WhatsApp at 671-727-0094.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage. With generations of Filipinos calling Guam home, KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC and the Medical City, where patients are partners.
Hafaday Guam, our community partner APL, invites the public to a donation drive to benefit Harvest House right here at home. Join us on Saturday, February 5th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Costules in Tamuning, where we will be accepting donations. Your contribution would go a long way to supporting our community and those who have come to rely on Harvest House. Any and all donations are welcome. Thank you, Guam. APL, Better Ways.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Pizza Hut's stuffed crust is the crust that made crust good. Topped and stuffed with over a half-pound of cheese. What are you so afraid of? Loving it? Original stuffed crust, only from Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore. Stop on by and visit our showroom today. We offer everyday low prices on all major outdoor power equipment like bush cutter, chainsaw, power washer, generators, and more. Need service, repair, maintenance? Well, check out Guam's best superstore only at Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, located in Barragata along Army Drive between Submarina and Besta Market. Call 735-7446 for more information. Now shipping to surrounding islands. Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore.
We want to see your football fan love in time for Valentine's Day and the big game on February 14th. KUAM News and KUAM Digital are rounding up and showcasing football lovers all over the island every day before the big game and giving one lucky fan and their loved ones the chance to win the ultimate game day Valentine's bash at home. All you got to do is send an email to promotions@KUAM.com with the subject Love and Football or tag and send a DM to the KUAM News page on Instagram. Make sure to include your name and contact info and your Love and Football story. Each and every submission will be entered to win a Game Day Love Fest at their home on Valentine's Day, including a brand new 65-inch 4K TV from Buddy's Home Furnishings, party platters from participating restaurants delivered by Uno Go, beverages and swag from Heineken and Soli, sweet treats, roses for your loved ones, and much more. One lucky winner will be announced on the air on February 11th. Some conditions apply. Winner must be a resident of Guam, must be 21 years or older, and must be available to be featured in a live shot from their home on Game Day, Monday, February 14th.
See KUAM.com for complete rules and and regulations. Love and Football is presented by Uno Go and Buddy's Home Furnishings. Let us show you why Buddy's is better. Jamaican Grill, Yaman, together we can. Heaven Sent, the essence of all things beautiful. The Bottle Shack, Heineken and Stoli, enjoy responsibly. And CS Cafe. Join Nestor Lacanto for virtual in-depth discussions with the movers and shakers in our community every Wednesday on In Full Zoom. Presented by IT&D and Calvo Enterprises, Inc. KUAM Communication is your go-to source for the biggest national and international sports events. Check out KUAM TV8 and KUAM TV11 for the biggest sports specials, championships, and events from every court, track, field, and playing ground. We're bringing you all the action and excitement. Brought to you locally by Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape and Docomo Pacific.
Buenas Sanhafadi. Part of taking care of yourself is participating in cancer screening. Make it a point to see your doctor at least once a year for an annual visit to discuss your risk and to determine which tests are right for you. Many tests are free or covered by insurance, and there may be programs to help those who don't have insurance. Cancer screening can save your life. There are screening tests that can catch cancer early when it may be easier to treat. So learn more at cancer.org/getscreened.
KUAM's multi-platform morning show, The Link, just got a little more delicious with Feed Me Fridays. Chris, Sabrina, Jason, and the rest of the morning crew will take some time off each Friday to talk, taste, and tempt you with all the latest and greatest food and drinks on Guam. Old faves, new hits, and everything else we can put in our bellies. It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link. Brought to you by King's Restaurants, Ruby Tuesday Guam, and Devondale. Real milk from free grazing cows.
Mayo, from the place that I call home, but she's calling my name. Yeah, she's calling my name. Mayo, from her beautiful blue seas, but I'm playing the game, trying to get to this fame. Oh, oh. Think about what I've earned and what's given. Think about my future and my love. Play some ball, mess around and switch it up. Mix some C's with some B's and make a book. Too many trees, they be starting to hurt.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Solis.
All right, thank you and good morning once again, Link family. We're glad to have you along for the ride on this Tuesday morning. Things looking good out on Guam streets, but please be careful if you're making your way to school, to work, running some errands, and do whatever, because we want to have you along for the ride all day long. As Bree was saying earlier, after-school vaccination clinics continue today. Any Guamanian 5 years old and older qualifies if they do meet the criteria. So today, as Bree said, 3 to 6 is going to be at Orta Talampago Elementary School, home of the ants, as Chris corrected me, not anteaters. I totally whiffed on that one. Home of the ants over at OCP Elementary School. Tomorrow is going to be same time, 3 to 6, down south in Marshall Sablan Elementary School. And then February 3rd on Thursday, 3 to 6 in the afternoon, right across the street from us at League One Elementary School. So please do get it. All types of vaccines will be offered. Before we get to our next segment, guys, I want to give a quick shout out to the hardworking folks at the U.S. Postal Service. Have you guys received your mail if you get like home delivery a little bit later these days? We got a package at my house last night like around 7:30.
Wow.
And I'm not saying like, they were late or anything like that. They're still working. And the only thing I can surmise is that because the federal home kits are coming, we had some members of the Link family. Daniel wrote a story. It's on KUM.com right now about locals that are now receiving their test home kits. They're probably like trying to clear out like their inventory and make sure that locals do have those kits like on hand if they need to be tested. So good. Yeah. Mail carriers, good job on you guys, man.
Awesome, yeah.
You guys are rock stars.
Through, what is it, Jay?
Through sleet, through hail, through snow, through rain.
How about through no aircon?
Yes. The other thing today, our aircon still is...
Day 2. Day 2 of no aircon, I feel like I just lost 6 ounces. Losing the water weight.
Hot in the village. Also, today is a very significant day for our friends from the Chinese community on Guam.
Chinese New Year.
Chinese New Year.
Yep, I just got the
Joe
text
Sir's
from
rocking. That's a
Chef Leland.
Oh yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Joe Sir's got a really nice shirt. What is this year, sir? What last year was it Year of the Dragon last year? No, Year of the Bat. I should look this up.
704 we're brought to you by Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box. Yeah, happy Chinese New Year's. Tuesday, February 1st. Guys, 13 days. Are we doing Valentine's or did the governor cancel it?
The Super Bowl.
Oh, Super Bowl. Yeah, so there you go, guys. You're off the hook.
Only on Guam because the Super Bowl, which by the way, did you guys catch that NFC championship?
Yeah.
We had the AFC championship. Great game. Bengals, they tied the biggest conference championship comeback of all time. They came from 18 points down to beat Patrick Mahomes, who was insane. And they beat them on the road. So it's going to be the Bengals and the Rams. Plus, the Rams is essentially a home game for them because they're going to play in the brand new SoFi Stadium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Super Bowl is actually on the 13th. It's one of those years when we do like a 2-week thing. And so we're going to have that on the 14th, which of course is Monday, which of course is also
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. So
there you go. Well, that's why I'm glad.
Someone's getting love and someone's getting their heart broken either way.
That's why I'm glad we have the most understanding women in Micronesia. They understand that the guys are going to be watching football.
Sorry, babe. And okay, and to give you guys some perspective, right?
I could totally see the pickup lines. Hey, your man's watching the Super Bowl. Hey. Anyway.
So Bree is what we call a KUM, right? A triple threat, and this extends to like sports and entertainment and popular culture too, right? There's a few of us here who can do like a variety of things, but Bree is one of the few people in our company who really, really gets into the game and understands the game and will follow along with the game, and then is absolutely all about the halftime show. Like our newsrooms, like kind of split. Like some of the reporters, they only watch the halftime show. They don't really care about the game. Other people are like like me, right? Like when I always refer to the halftime show in the Super Bowl as my 30-minute pee break. But Bree actually, she goes for the whole game plus the whole.
It's a big show this year.
Yeah, Bree, what's your favorite halftime show of all time? You went pretty crazy for Beyonce a couple years ago.
I liked Prince.
With Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
Wait, was it no, not
Prince,
Justin
I don't
Bieber.
know. It was Prince.
Other guy.
That was
Prince.
Yeah, Prince.
That was Prince performing Purple Rain
Yeah.
in the rain in
Yep.
Miami in 2008.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So this year it is.
Oh, J-Lo and Shakira.
Yeah, I figured.
Oh, that was good.
Bree likes to watch girls shake their booty.
And then this year, because the game is in LA, it's going to be Snoop Dogg.
Yep.
Is he Snoop Dogg again, or is
He's
he still
he's back to
Lion?
Snoop Dogg. Yeah,
Okay.
he was Snoop Lion for a minute.
Yeah, when they made the Netflix documentary, and then he
And
turned
then
back.
it's
Right? So it's Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige, who is phenomenal. Was it also Kendrick Lamar?
Kendrick
Yeah.
Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
And Eminem.
Eminem.
And Eminem.
Are you sure this is the halftime show?
This is the halftime
Are you
show.
serious, though?
Mary
Come
J.
on.
Blige, Eminem, Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, Snoop Dogg. Yeah.
That's how long
So
we've been
you've got-
alive. Is that these guys have all gone so mainstream that they're gonna perform at the.
So you've got LA represented,
show.
you've got New York represented, you've got Detroit represented.
Yep.
Where's Kendrick from? I'm not really familiar with
I think
Kendrick.
it's from LA.
Is he from LA? No.
That's gonna be awesome. Jay,
And we're working on something special for you guys.
we are.
for
We
the
always
Super
are
Bowl.
working on something special. Where can people go get their shots today?
Okay, shots. You can make
Shots. I've been waiting to do that.
Little John, unfortunately, not part of the halftime show.
Not quite. Yeah.
So if you need to get your vaccine, if you need to get the Johnson & Johnson, the Pfizer, the Moderna, if you need to get boosted, make sure to hit up tinyurl.com/VAXGuam. There, you can make an appointment to be at the Calvo Fieldhouse at UOG. I believe so you can make an appointment at the Calvo Fieldhouse. You can also make an appointment to get your vaccination shot at either the Dededo Regional Public Health Clinic or down in Lahan at that clinic. Also, you can go to any of your private healthcare providers. Go check out your favorite clinic, your family physician. Give them a call. But please do make make an appointment because as we've been seeing by the numbers, we are far from done.
Yeah. February 1st, Dr. Berg said with a little luck the surge will be over by today, but it's not going to happen. Bree, what was up with this flow chart? We talked about this flow chart yesterday, and so what did you say? There's like a new one that came out?
No, just breaking down the revised one because, I was off island when the first one came out, and I was kind of struggling with trying to understand, what was changed. And just at the top, you could tell that they combined the fully vaccinated and the booster category.
But this was a second revised flow chart on what to do if you test positive for COVID-19.
Right. And so really the big difference in the two flow charts is that if you're not fully vaccinated and are a close contact, you quarantine for 10 days, but you can test out beginning at day 5, day 7. But everything else remains the same for those who are not fully vaccinated, whether you feel sick or not. You have to isolate for the 10 days. Now, for fully vaccinated, boosted, or ineligible individuals, the little kids, the only difference is that if you are close contact to someone who tests positive and you don't feel sick, there's no quarantine, no testing required for school or work. But everything else on that flow chart remains the same for fully vaccinated or boosted people. You test positive, you isolate for 5 days, and that's even if you don't feel sick. Yeah.
The floor recognizes Mr. Barnett.
Thank you. I just had a question. What about the asymptomatic spreaders of the virus? Because we do know that, from public health's own admission, that people who are asymptomatic spread it. So if you don't have symptoms and you're positive and you get to go to work and go to school, aren't you going to be like spreading it all everywhere?
If you're asymptomatic?
Yeah.
Are you vaccinated or are you fully vaccinated?
I'm fully boosted. But because I can't get tested, I don't know if I'm positive. But let's just say theoretically I was a close contact of a known positive, but as someone who has all of the juice flowing through my veins, I've got 2 shots of the vax, 1 of the booster. According to your chart, I just go about my business.
Right, and this isn't my chart. Okay?
I know, okay.
This is public health's chart.
This is the chart 2.0.
Yeah, but we heard that there's a possibility that a third chart might be coming out. But this is just kind of...
No more charts. We don't want any more charts. And people have just totally, I think public health really, and it's a combination of a bunch of things, but the credibility, I don't know, really struggling with just, and it's not necessarily like they aren't saying it right. It's just that there's so much conflicting information. They come out with these flow charts. They come out one day, they change it the next day. Now they're going to come out with a third one. It really just makes it seem like they don't know what they're doing. And when you look at these results and what we are doing, it does. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced.
It's a crazy little use case. A buddy of mine reached out to me yesterday, you guys, and he had tested positive about a week and a half ago. So he had been in isolation for the past 5 days, and then the weekend, he contacted his work and he's like, okay, well, I've done the isolation, I've tested negative. Now can I come back to work? I'm ready to go. And then his work said, well, as per policy, you need to show a release form.
Yeah. But you don't anymore because public health said you don't have to show a release
That's
form.
What he told them, but the company said that.
That's what I mean.
But that's our policy. And so, man, I should have brought that up to Mike Pangolinian yesterday when he joined us from the president of Shrimp.
Right.
Because now I told my friend, I was like, well, technically you've been isolated for the past few days and you have been remote working. You can remote work today and join the meeting from EPOP Beach if you wanted to. Because he can't go into work because he doesn't have the clearance form. But
yeah, it's just, public health's changing the guidance in the middle of the game, and employers, businesses, bosses aren't really getting the memo because maybe they want to act a little more cautiously, right? I don't know. I just feel kind of weird if you were in close contact with somebody who was positive and then you just didn't bother getting tested or anything and you just came to work. I would feel...
It's 5 days. I'm good.
Yeah. No, we're good, Prim. Don't worry. Yeah. So I don't know what changed.
You show up, Jerry.
I don't know what changed, but we do know that the biggest spreaders of this thing, according to public health data, are the 18 to 39-year-olds because they just don't care.
That's one of the only
they just
things.
want to party and they don't care about anybody else.
That's one of the only things throughout the pandemic, guys, that has been consistent. It's that age demographic that
and
has
I
been.
tried, guys. I tried as a 39-year-old. I tried to reach out to them, but they're just too hard-headed. They don't care. They don't care if they go party at the beach and then come home and give it to Nana. They just don't give a damn. And so these
Are they listening to Joe Rogan on Spotify, perhaps?
probably maybe. But if they're close contact of a known positive and they don't have symptoms, which young people do pretty good against this thing, or maybe they do have symptoms, but they think it's just a runny nose, then they're going to be walking around spewing Omicron everywhere. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, to me, again, it's another one of these pivots that doesn't make sense. But if it was really important, though, guys, I mean, if it really was important and life-threatening, I think Public Health would be on this show to explain to you guys. But since they can't be bothered to come on, then I'm just saying it must not be that important. But be safe, you know what I mean? Don't go, driving into the COVID-19 power pole, to use a metaphor, but just be safe.
Yeah. So if you do need to get tested and you do qualify, slot's still available today.
Yeah, it's the testing lottery.
Yeah. Have they ever said the now?
What is the criteria, Jay, for testing?
Okay, so if thank you for bringing that up. So the criteria, remember, this thing has changed a couple times in the last maybe 2 or even 3 weeks. The first major change was that there would be. You do need to make an appointment. So you got to go to tinyurl.com/COVID stops with me. That's to be tested, right? The other URL, tinyurl.com/VAXGuam, that's to get the shot, all right? So COVID stops with me is to get tested. VaxGuam, VAXGUAM, is to get the shot. The first policy change they made about 2 weeks ago was that you do need to make an appointment. As of last week, they implemented the other new criteria, or the new policy change, which is there is a prioritization. If you are someone who has existing comorbidities, or you have certain healthcare conditions, if you live in what they call the immunocompromised conditions, you don't have access to your own dedicated restroom, you live in a house with many other people. If you have a history of health afflictions, right, Chris?
Yeah.
If you have if you have a health history, then you do qualify. But best thing you can do is also, if you want to get tested today, and for whatever reason, you can just call Public Health. Their number is, for the Northern Region Clinic, 671-635-7525 or 7526. Or if you're down in Inalahan, for anybody in the South, that number is 671-828-7504 or 7505. I'm just recalling this stuff off the top of my head because that's how many times I've said it, because we want to make sure you guys are safe, because we got your back.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. They had that press conference yesterday for the homeowners, the HOF, the Homeowners Assistance Fund. And then in the story, Nestor was talking about how GovGuam struggles to answer the phone. And so what they did for the Homeowners Assistance Fund is they instituted a face-to-face option. And they acted like it's a big freaking deal. They're like, oh, my God, because things have died down, now we can see you face-to-face. When I'm like, over here in the private sector, we've been done doing face-to-face. The GovGuam sets these metrics, and they're like, it's mild, it's going to be okay, but we're going to be hiding behind the phone. You guys go out there. You know what I mean? And so I just thought that was kind of funny that they made a big deal out of now we're going to do face-to-face when we've been doing it. You're sending our kids to face-to-face. So, yeah, anyway.
When I read that, and they started referring to it as an acronym,
yeah.
the Homeowners Assistance Fund.
Yep.
I swore they were going to add an A at the end just to make it HAFA.
Yeah,
I thought it was a Homeowners Assistance Fund affiliation. I swore they were going to, a good thing I didn't bet on that, because I would have lost big.
I'm pretty sure they sat around trying to come up with an A.
Yeah. And I should actually save my money because, the Super Bowl's coming up.
Right. We did have some comments here relative to the charts. Elizabeth Agagi comments, charts. Chris Cave, charts confusing everyone again. Too many guidelines. Marcy Flores, DPHSS credibility is shot. Flowchart doesn't make sense. How do they come to that conclusion? Dolores, the flowchart doesn't make sense. It's a gateway for more contamination. It's lunatic. Bree, Chris, or Jay, do y'all know if there's a wait period after having COVID to get the vaccination? What is it again, Jay?
Well, initially, and that's a very good point, Bev Test.
There is a little cooling off period.
Yeah, in the very, very first, because our own Adriana Cotero, you remember she was the first person on our team when she was still working with us, and she's in the States now. When she tested positive with COVID, she was sharing her story, and I believe it was 90 days, right, Bree? like 3 months, right? If you have tested positive, and then when the vaccine became available, you had to be at least 90 days from when you tested positive.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Public Health probably changed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 719. Can we just make sure whoever's working the window at the Homeowners Assistance Fund, they need to get their COVID pins, okay? Because they're out there risking it face to face. It's 719. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get educational. Johnny comments in here. Let me be the first to say thank you all very much for the hard work you do each and every day. Let us know what is going on. The beautiful island of Guam, thanks each and every one of you very much.
See the follow-up from Amy?
Yeah, Amy, she comments, she works for Public Health.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
2 weeks, but it's best to wait for all most symptoms to recover.
Okay, so it's not even 3 months anymore, so just
Thanks,
2 weeks.
Amy.
Yeah, thank you, Amy.
That's good.
Yeah, that's different than 90 days.
Yeah.
So 719, we're getting the chairman of the Board of Education, Mark Mendiola, and also Miss Maria Gutierrez. They're coming on to talk about probably GDOE's budget request for this year. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about teacher raises.
Mm-hmm. So we also got a shout-out, Brendan Fausto saying, Gigo Jarhead watching.
That's right. I think there's
Semper Fi.
There's a training, right? Is the Cove North still going on, Bree, or is it over?
Someone was commenting in that earlier. They're saying, like, we saw
They
so
didn't
many
hear
jets the
anymore.
first few days
Yeah.
and, like, nothing in the past.
Good morning. 720, yeah. So they're coming up, and then we also got the AG leaving Camacho on the way here, as well as CNMI news. We got to take a quick break, and we're coming back with educational matters next with the Board of Education, the chair, Mark Mendiola, and Miss Maria Gutierrez coming up right here on the link. Good morning.
Make it through the week with Monday's Our community partner, APL, invites the public to a donation drive to benefit Harvest House right here at home. Join us on Saturday, February 5th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Costules in Tamuning, where we will be accepting donations. Your contribution would go a long way to supporting our community and those who have come to rely on Harvest House. Any and all donations are welcome. Thank you, Guam. APL, Better Ways.
We want to see your football fan love in time for Valentine's Day and the big game on February 14th. KUAM News and KUAM Digital are rounding up and showcasing football lovers all over the island every day before the big game and giving one lucky fan and their loved ones the chance to win the ultimate game day Valentine's bash at home. All you got to do is send an email to promotions@KUAM.com with the subject Love and Football, or tag and send a DM to the KUAM News page on Instagram. Make sure to include your name and contact info and your Love and Football story. Each and every submission will be entered to win a Game Day Love Fest at their home on Valentine's Day, including a brand new 65-inch 4K TV from Buddy's Home Furnishings, party platters from participating restaurants delivered by Uno Go, beverages and swag from Heineken and Soli, sweet treats, roses for your loved ones, and much more. One lucky winner will be announced on the air on February 11th. Some conditions apply. Winner must be a resident of Guam, must be 21 years or older, and must be available to be featured in a live shot from their home on Game Day, Monday, February 14th.
See KUAM.com for complete rules and regulations. Love and Football is presented by Uno Go and Buddy's Home Furnishings. Let us show you why Buddy's is better. Jamaican Grill, Yaman, together we can. Heaven Sent, the essence of all things beautiful. The Bottle Shack, Heineken and Stoli, enjoy responsibly. And CS Cafe.
Taco Bell is so good and so cheap.
I know, right? I wonder why.
What if they know we're broke? What if they're trying to be the good guys?
Yeah. Thanks, Taco Bell!
See what's on TV tonight with schedules, network news and notes, local promotions and giveaways on KUAM Communications social media pages. Like and follow us on Facebook or Instagram now for all the latest and never miss out.
We know you're tired of hearing about COVID-19. Some of you are probably wondering whether this is ever going to end. However long it takes, we all have to do our part, including our children, to hold the line. You can protect yourself and your family by getting vaccinated.
And if you're already vaccinated, don't let your guard down, because you can still give
and get COVID-19. And if you're not vaccinated, remember that if you catch the virus, you could suffer more severe complications. At the end of the day, it's the choices we make to protect ourselves, our families, and our community that will control the spread.
We know it sounds repetitive at this point, but again, wash your hands, watch your distance, and wear your mask.
Together, we have to hold the line.
Here on Breeze 93.9 FM.
I've been there before now. I've seen many doors closing now. And now that I'm searching, well, it's you that I'm seeing. Ooh, she didn't want me to go now.
All right, we're going to teach you guys something new today. Jason is going to teach us
Slowly so closing
a little Chinese, Jane?
Yes, because it is, of course, the first day of Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Fat Troy, happy Chinese New Year to all.
Wait, who are you
of
calling
our...
fat?
No.
What is it?
Wow, we've been doing this show together for so long. That was a legitimate Atan Baba right there.
What did you say? I'm a fat boy?
No. Today's, man, I've had the good pleasure of being able to cover the Chinese New Year celebrations on Guam back when the world was regular. I did this for many years, even when I was living in Tumon, and you would hear, like, up at the Chinese school, you know, like Chris near Carlos Heights, they would practice, they would have, like, the dragon dance and everything. You could hear, like, the drums just reverberating, you know, off, going all the way down to the cliff, all the way down to Tumon Bay. It was so wonderful.
It's the year of the tiger, Jay.
The tiger.
Yep. That's actually my sign.
Is it?
Yeah. I think it is.
Wait, what sign?
You have a sign, right? The year you're born is a sign in the Chinese.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I was born during a tiger year. Wow.
So does this mean you'll star in the next season of Tiger King?
Yeah, it's Chinese New Year, guys. If you're looking for a reason to have some good lunch, there it is, 726. Mrs. Maria Gutierrez of the Board of Education. I think we're getting the chair, Mark Mendiola, but ladies first, you know. Mrs. G, good morning.
Good morning, half a day.
So glad to have you on. Before the chair comes on, let's go ahead and can we just get an update? Because the last time we had you on, you were a little upset about the facilities maintenance, and we're talking about the canopies and getting the covers for all the different walkways. Remember, you had come on and you're kind of upset. This is like last year. Do you have an update on all that stuff?
Yes, it's much better now. Of course, you know, we still have the manpower, and but the facility and maintenance are really doing everything they could, and also our employees at the Department of Education, regardless of what position they're holding, they go in and help change light bulbs, doorknobs. So everybody's doing their best. I ask the community to just be patient with us, you know, because we're doing everything. And as you know me, I don't, you know, once I say I push forward of what I wanted completed, it will. But I just want to thank, you know, the Department of Education employees. They're doing their best. But first, can I just say, Sabrina, my condolences. Please, my prayers are with you and your family. But I see my colleague is there, my boss.
Not boss. Hey, good morning.
Yeah, the big boss is here, everybody. Look official. The chairman of the Board of Education.
All rise for the chairman.
No.
Hey, any chairman that can wear a really good hoodie is okay in my book, man.
You're so hood.
That's quality leadership right there, man. What's up, Mark?
Mark, did you kind of want to follow up on what Mrs. G said? Because I know last time we had her on, she was upset about the facilities. But then from what she said and what John has also talked about, is what we're good on that now, or what?
Come again? Sorry.
Facilities maintenance, you know, canopies, all that type of stuff.
Yeah. So you know, of course, it comes down really to resources. Am I good?
You're good. Yeah, you're on.
So, when it comes down to resources, with the federal government, the reprieve you got from the funding, we're able to back in some CIP money. And it basically, Chris and Bree, what it has done is it's taken away the some pressure on the local appropriation side. And it gives us an opportunity to I tell people like this, it's kind of like give us an opportunity to press a reset button so that we can kind of start fixing our restroom facilities and our canopies, a lot of things that were, it's called deferred maintenance costs. And so we're able to get these things fixed. And let me reassure you that my colleagues and I, and Ms. G being the chair of facilities, health and safety schools, when we hear it from our community, hear from our folks, of course, it's like, a good majority of our budget is tied into personnel costs. And, when all is said and done, it's really interesting if people don't really understand the budgeting process for DOE. It's kind of, I don't want to say a shell game, but it's kind of like a lot of gamesmanship when it comes down to it, So like Ms. G mentioned in our board, this is a budget coming from the schools. These schools are requesting for this amount of personnel to make sure that their schools are functioning properly. And then, it gets vetted by the superintendent and the folks down at central office, what kind of resources we can back out from that side. And then, it comes to the superintendent for his proposal to the board. And then, of course, then the board starts asking the tough questions like, okay, so what is our plan? What are we going to do for the next year or two? And so what has happened in the past is we've had a lot of, when I say, empty promises when it came to the funding, because they can appropriate all that money into their blue in the face. But if the cash doesn't come, then, we cannot do what we need to do to fix the challenges that we're faced with the facilities. And so a lot of our facilities are aging. A lot of them are kind of old. And so we need to start looking at for the future. And so with Simon Sanchez is going to be coming online soon when we turn the shovel. 90% of the A&E would be done should be done already by January. And then they're going to start talking about, the financing for that portion of it and putting it out to bid. So yeah, the facilities, because of the federal monies that we've been receiving, we've allotted some of that stuff. We've got approval for certain things to be fixed at the department, and it's not moving as fast as Ms. Gutierrez and I would like it to move. But we're competing with other things that's here in Guam with construction. A lot of folks are tied up with other military projects, perhaps, and stuff like that. So. We got to go through the procurement process, and that's all in itself is a lot of timing that goes into that.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of the finances over at GDOE, I remember there was a board resolution regarding a GDOE shortfall with its budget, and there was also that oversight hearing with Senator Nelson, right? Where are you guys, or where is Mr. Fernandez in coming up with a plan to address that shortfall?
It all started, Bree, you remember, it's called the tax truck cuts, right? That was the initial one. That was a major impact on the way we conducted ourselves. And from then on, the budget just kept on dropping down, And so when the budget comes back from the legislative body, what they usually do is they give us like a lump sum appropriation. They say, here, this is the amount of money we're giving you guys, figure it out. And so then we come up with our spending priorities. And of course, right off the top, you're looking at taking out about maybe 80 to 90% of that in personnel costs. And you're left with the remaining amount to handle operation costs. And that's like air conditioning, meals or reimbursement or vendor payments, facility maintenance when it comes to yard services. And so those are the challenges that we're faced with. So when we sent in that resolution, it was basically for supplemental budget requests to help cover the shortfall. So obviously, when we don't get that money and they don't support us in that regard, it basically puts us into what they call deficit spending. And of course, this is all privy on the fact that we're on a fiscal year cycle, and what happens there is we towards the end of fiscal year, we won't know if we're get the full allotments. And then what happens is at the end of the year, we're severely shorted. Then, of course, the vendors, the folks that do business with DOE. So that's where we become creative, where we're able to back some of that stuff out right now with the federal monies. And so, the legislature usually calls us up and say, hey, what are you guys doing with your federal monies? What are you doing with federal monies? The challenge there is Uncle Sam has to agree to what we're asking them to do for us to back out of the local appropriations, and that's called supplanting. If we supplant, then we can they can take the money back. I can tell you this much, that we've worked hard to get ourselves off of this high risk status, this high grantee status, which basically means a third party fiduciary is watching us how we spend the federal money. And so what we've done over the time is to incrementally take us off, and then coming in, I think the latter part of April, early May, there's going to be a visit from Washington, D.C. The folks from USAID are going to come out on the ground, and they are going to then give us a thumbs up if we're good to go, and release the oversight with the third party. And if that happens, then we got about 2.2 million. When I first came on board, we were sitting at about $5 million worth of payments that we were giving out to this third party. We significantly reduced that, and we basically said, hey, we're ready to take over the responsibilities of managing the federal 7 years of clean audits, no question costs. And why is it that all the other jurisdictions that do that are able to not be on high risk status? So we made the case, but obviously things with the pandemic, some folks in Washington, D.C. are teleworking and all that wonderful stuff there. So, when they shut down, they pretty much kind of left us to kind of just virtual monitoring. So we're hoping to back out of that. So in a nutshell, Bree, we've been able to get the support of USAID to back some of that stuff out, but we're still short on those local appropriations. And that's because the exposure to some of these special funds that were created, like I'll give you an example, the Territorial Education Facilities Fund, that's called TEF, and that's tied to property taxes. So there's only twice a year where we collect that. And so if the projected amount of money that they intend to collect does not come to that amount, then we get shorted from that end. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of you can appropriate all you can, but if there's no cash behind it to pay out, then you start saying, okay, something's got to give. So we asked to, reduce our exposure to those volatile funds, The other one too that's up is the limited gaming fund. And that's where we collect money from those gaming machines and some other stuff that goes in. Obviously, those things are no longer going to be viable for us. And so it's, I think the courts shot down and clearly defined what those machines are and all the other stuff that comes with gaming. I think even cockfighting was tied into that at one point in time. So you take those out of the equation and we get exposure to that, and they say, hey, we're going to appropriate $500,000 to that for these types of things for sports facilities. We don't get that money, you know what I mean? So that then the sports start falling to the wayside. So that's the challenge we're faced with. It's we get the appropriations, but then we don't get the full cash allotments.
Right. So the last, I understand it was a $45 million shortfall on the local side. So is it still $45 million?
No, we were able to go back to our federal partners, and we were able to shave off, and then some cross-leveling and stuff that the superintendent was able to do, maximize resources. And we brought it down to, I think, closer to $9 million where we're projecting our shortfall.
Mr. G, I know that you had made some comments in the last board meeting, very frustrated comments, and talking about raises for teachers, and you guys could do this and you could do that, and you could, dot your I's, cross your T's, and you could send it over the legislature, wrap it with a nice bow because it's an election year, and we always know the children are their priority in the election year on all the campaign commercials. Not so much when it comes time to put the money where their mouth is, but you were so frustrated because you said we send it over, we tell them exactly what we need, and we're not asking for anything extra. And then they go get their legislative machete and they cut that budget, right?
Yeah.
Chris, that's true, and Bree and Jason. And I've been doing my my own research. My background is HR, so I know how it is. and I am 100% behind the teacher's salary. I talked to several senators before this last election, and nothing happened. So for me, now that they have that, it says educators. But what about all the employees that are in the Department of Education? There are positions there that are unique to DOE that we need to provide our customers, and our customers are the students. Okay, so I feel that in order to, so that all our employees that are holding the low position, like school aides, also their position should be reviewed for salary adjustment. They get people say, well, they're already getting a lot. They get this increase because of salary increment that's required by law, that they get their annual increment or after 4 years. So for Guam, I communicated with the National State Board of Education, which the Guam Education Board is a member. And this is what I found on my research. It goes to be, you need to be an HR person to understand that only 10 states has the highest salary as far as teachers. And then the lowest state that has the salary for teachers is Mississippi. But it's still with Mississippi's starting salary for teachers, that's equivalent to our teacher here that are on the ED7, meaning they have, been reclassification, everything. And some of them, for a teacher, our lowest is a teacher there, because we have the teacher 1, B, C. Those are like those that are still lacking their certification, Chamorro teachers. But a teacher 2 that has a full certification, for them to get the salary that Mississippi being the lowest, they would have to be a step 9. That means they'll be in the system for like 9 years or work on their reclassification so that they can move up. So yes, we're very low. We're low as far as our teachers here. And I am one, and Mr. Mendola knows that I'm not quiet when it comes to how our employees are treated at the Department of Education, because it takes someone to go in there at the school and see what these employees have to go through, regardless whether they're school aides or they're clerks or whatever. They are all out there. They don't just sit at their desk and do their work from 8 to 5 or whatever. They're all over. They're in the cafeteria. They're out there helping. So it's a lot of work. You cannot compare a clerk at any government agency versus a clerk or computer operator at DOE, because it's a nonstop. Some of these employees, I feel sorry for them. So, so that we do not, it will be a morale problem for our employees that are not educators, are not teachers, because then they will still continue to receive the same salary and no study. So we're gonna do this study. Let's just cover all the employees at DOE, because they, for school aides, they just don't supervise kids, and it's hard to supervising these kids. They come from different home discipline,
Yeah.
and they have to be careful how they talk to them, not even how they touch them. So why not look at every position in DOE, because they are the backbones of the school. So I'm 100% behind that educator's review or salary study, but I want all employees, even principal, assistant principal, those employees under the special education who are dealing with our students with special need. So for me, it's not fair. So the budget that we presented came from the school of what they need. It's a budget that stakeholders put together, not the board. We don't cut anything. We don't we question, is there enough personnel for that school? Is it everything else? So for the elected official, they got to understand and stop telling us that DOE is getting so much money, or because it's not.
Are you talking
It's
about
an
your
agency that we have a
Mr. G?
special customers,
Which-
and that's the students.
Which elected official is saying you guys have too much money? Was that your oversight chair? I remember that, yeah.
I'm not gonna say names, but
Okay,
you know,
I will. Your
you're-
oversight chair, in case anyone paying attention is wondering, because it's the same thing with GDOE. Every time we get them on, they're never happy. I mean, and that's no offense. You shouldn't be, right? Because I don't even think adequate is good enough. But their oversight chair is Senator Talina Nelson. And I don't know. I mean, just observationally, I don't really see a lot of interaction with, and I don't know. I don't want to make it awkward for you guys. But I do know she was just absent. So I don't know what the situation, the relationship is with you and your oversight chair. But I know traditionally you want your oversight chair to be going to bat for you, not, using the bat on you.
You know, Chris, being on the board too long, I've seen it. Every year, they don't give what DOE is requesting, okay? They don't. We're good only to be called for oversight, round table, and where did you spend this? No, stop with that, because education is top priority. And the employees of DOE, they're doing everything. They're not neglecting their responsibility to educate our kids, but if we don't give them the resources, how could we? Okay, how could we? So for the public, please, every teacher, every support staff, every principal, every assistant principal, even central office, they're doing their best. Our kids are not being neglected. We produce a lot of intelligent students. So, but we need the resources. We cannot continue to depend on the federal money funding. We have teachers that, now that we have this American Rescue Plan, supplies were bought and everything. So teachers now don't have to spend their money on buying the supplies, unless, of course, they have the brand name supplies. But we're doing everything. So I'm already tired of this. DOE, you got some money. So DOE, you know what? Under the Organic Act, health, safety, and education. The 14 points, the budget is based on the 14 points. If they don't want us to base our budget on the 14 points, then they should delete that. We see that, but I bet you nobody there have the guts down to repeal the 14 points because they're afraid to be called out. The 14 points is the one that we have to follow and base the budget that we're requesting.
Chairman, could you please?
In the states, with my meeting with NASPE, all over the states, teachers are resigning. Teachers are leaving because they're burnt out because of this pandemic. For our teachers here, I want to commend the teachers that are still there, regardless of how they feel about their salary, but they're still because they care for our kids. And if we're gonna say our kids are being neglected, our kids are not being educated, that's an insult to our good teachers, that have worked hard, put in so much time and years in the education. And I want to salute them. I give them the highest respect because they're teachers. Without our teachers, our kids won't learn. But we are providing everything, so we also need to provide the resources for them so that they don't have to keep spending their money. But I grew up in a Catholic school. But all my kids, my grandkids, are all product of public school. Yeah, they didn't make the top 10 or whatever, except one, but I am satisfied because they're very successful. And we have students that are Gate Millennium scholars, Fulbright scholars coming out from DOE. So when we have to compare our students and those in the States being on the NASB, I hear my counterparts. They're struggling too. They're struggling with education in their district. So I don't want people to continue saying that our kids are behind. No, because if you don't, I get to talk to the 50 state board members and we share and said, Maria, we're not. You guys are better than Guam. I mean, than us. You guys are better because for us, it's hard. We have because they have kids and they cannot. As DOE, we cannot pick the cream of the crop students. Every child that comes into that door of a school to register be accepted, regardless of where they came from. So for me, I challenge the elected official that give us that funding that was submitted by the schools, not by the board. All we did is we adopt by the schools so that they can continue the operation of their school. And I invite any community people out there, go to the school and see for yourself. See for yourself. I have been, just this week I didn't go, but I'm going to go tomorrow and the next day. When I see that, I see those employees, the clerks will come out and go to the cafeteria and help supervise the school aides. That's why I want a study strictly all DOE.
Yeah. The chairman
and
could
continue. And I don't want this thing that, when the study finishes, should be finished by September 2022. It will go to the governor for approval. It should be implemented by 2023. Submit to the legislature. On the bottom says submit to the legislature for approval, or it could be disapproval or amendment. I don't want those false promises that if the study says give the teachers 20% above the salary now, that they say, 2 months, go down to 10%.
Mrs.
I don't want that.
Mrs. G, I get what you're saying. You're basically saying
Go
that,
ahead, Mr.
that we can't just give the teachers a raise because everyone in GDOE is underpaid when you compare them to their counterparts in the states, whether it's one-to-one aides or substitutes or whatever. So that's kind of muddying the water for me. Maybe, Mr. Chair, if you could tell us exactly what is on the table. Are we getting raises, or is there just a study? Who, how much, when, all that stuff?
All right. So thanks, Chris. I'll try not to be long-winded on this one, but what started this, Chris and Bree, was there's a legislation that was written, and basically it was an educator pay study. And so in it basically authorized the Department of Education. They allotted about $100,000 from the budget that was really short to begin with, right, to conduct this study. And so, to conduct this study, when you're looking at educator pay raise, what does this fall under? There are certain classifications, like Ms. G alluded to, regarding educator pay. That'd be administrators, certain professionals within the school that fall under what they call educator, right? That educator classification. And so we're supposed to conduct this fiscal year, and we're supposed to provide that report to the legislative body, I think by September. And then in part, it'll take place, if they approve it, it will take place, the increment or the raise in 2023, right after, of course, as Ms. G would like to point out, after election, that, and so it's basically gonna look at, just that specific portion. So Ms. G is pointing out that there are other support staff that help with the education in the classroom, and all those supports are necessary. And so you create a huge gap in, of course, salaries between, rank and file employees. Actually, there's going to be, of course, morale issues and folks just looking for other opportunities. But at the same time, too, working at our schools is just not, not anybody can just walk into school and say, I'm going to be this, or you know what I mean? There's certain certifications that the folks have to qualify to receive that pay. So what we did on this budget, because the pay hasn't been done, we looked at what was done in for the other agencies that just recently got their increments, right? And so I know the nurses got, I think, 15%, and then the police, law enforcement got 18%. So what we did on this budget is we, just for the educator pay, we gave the low end, which is 5%, all the way up to 22. And we basically looked at the current staffing pattern that we have, warm bodies, and we based it on that percentage. And so you're looking at, the high end of 22% and of course the low end of 5%. But through Ms. Gutierrez and Mr. Ada on the board, asking us to consider also what other staff within the department, what that would look like. And so we also did included that percentage. We included a second section of that of support staff within the schools. And so just basically on the educator pay, we're looking at about roughly additional $15 million to our current personnel costs. And that's at like 15%. But the challenge there is, Chris and Bree, is it sustainable? You know what I mean? And so, of course, there's a lot of factors that come into it. The Department of Education, aside from, being a public entity that's, guaranteed by the Organic Act and providing education, this legislative body has also created what they call the charter schools. So that's additional resources that, is channeled towards the charter school area. But thank God that it's no longer part of our budget, because in the past, they used to lump it all together and say, hey, DOE, you're responsible for giving them the resources and managing charter schools, which, we said that's not really, that's a creation of legislative body. And so where we're at right now is we submitted our total warm body count in our budget proposal. And what we did was we also requested for certain positions, new positions that we need to operate the schools as people retire, as people leave for new jobs. We need to make sure that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot and get rid of these vacant positions. We need to make sure that, we continue to hire teachers. When these graduates come out from DOE, we don't want them to wait for, the next cycle because we don't have the resources. You want to hire them as quickly as possible and bring them into the classrooms. And so what is that competitive edge that we're trying to put ourselves in? When folks say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna resign, I'm gonna go for greener pastures. And then the other thing too that's playing a major factor in a lot of decisions is this COVID related situation. When it comes to people's mental health and people just saying, this is too much. We've been at this for quite some time. We're gonna take a break, or we're gonna move on to other jurisdictions to go and get or go into another career field. So in essence, what we've done in this budget is we gave the legislature an idea of a snapshot of what the potential dollar figure could be should we go 15% across the board, or 22%, or 18%. We gave them all those breakdowns with the current warm bodies within the Department of Education. And so you can do a study, and then you're going to look at the what they call aspirant communities that are similar to Guam, of course. Cost of living, taking that all into consideration. With the cost of living, here, folks, that home rentals right now are significantly high. And it's really tailored towards the military housing allowances that are out there. Now you're seeing a 3-bedroom house go for $2,200 a month, or even $2,500 a month, where back in the day it was running about maybe $1,200, And so, all these things that you take into consideration, the economy, cost of living, you try to figure out how to make sure that, when we do these increments or these wage studies, that, it's going to be sustainable over a period of time, because, if the cost of living goes up, it's, of course, and people's salaries stay the same, it's going to be very tough for them to continue to live the way some folks live in our communities.
When's the last time?
Those are the challenges we face with Bree. But this educator pay study, it's coming at the heels of course, the law enforcement and the nurses' pay. And so when it comes to the educators, that's going to be the hot topic of discussion, and I assume it's going to be a hot topic of discussion this election season, and everybody's going to want to jump on it. I just want to make sure that our community understands when the dust settles and the next year comes around and we're not collecting the taxes from our main economic engine, the tourism, that we can be facing some really tough days ahead of us, when it comes to ensuring that we meet our mandates of educating our kids in the classrooms.
When was
So-
the
so I
last
just-
time
I just wanted
educators
to-
got a pay
Chris,
raise?
I just wanted to mention also that the study that I was given by NASB is that for all the 50 states for 2021. So it's just recent. So some states are adding in the cost of living, some states are not. And some of them, in fact, have decreased their teacher's salary. Now the top state that with highest teacher salary is New York, and starting is $85,000. They for us for this is what my position. And I know people are saying, well, I'm outdated. I don't know. Well, I'm sorry because I have been on behind this. I was one of the first case study group in 1991 when we did this, and in that law it says that positions should be reviewed every 3 years and be given like a 3%. And that didn't happen. Yes, I left the government Guam, come back later on. But I want also here that when we look at the teacher's salary, the educator's salary, we look at the experience, the education. The bachelor shouldn't be higher than the master, or shouldn't even be like one step difference, because that's not fair. The cost of living on Guam, yes, those are the factors that are building when determining the salary, and that is important. But I'll tell you, some states are removing that now because of teachers resigning because of the pandemic. They're offering them bonus on top of another bonus. Can we afford that here? That's up to our elected official so that we can keep our employees, our teachers. Teachers are doing everything. So I'm not outdated on what I'm presenting, because this is just 2021, and I was with the NASB State Board just this morning. And because I want the comparison to present to the whoever is handling this educator study group to look at that, and let's look at that, because here's Mississippi. Right now, Mississippi is only 45,000 starting for a teacher there. They didn't give the same percentage for their cost of living, because they believe in like New York is expensive. California came in second because of the cost of living. Hawaii is not in the top 10 of the top 10 states that has the high salary. So that's why the review is important. When we did the HES study in 1991 to 93, we look at all factors. We gave the employees a random position description to fill out what they're doing, and from that, the HEY group, which consists of employees from Civil Service Commission and other personnel division in the government of Guam, and that's how we did it. I was not involved in the 2013 to 14 on the CWA, but that's where a lot of the disparity, especially on the educator's salary, that came about. So for this time, I want to make sure that they do it properly. Look at the education, the experience and the education of this teacher. Some of them have gone and got their doctorate, and they're still teaching. So we need to look at that versus those that are just with bachelors. And I'm not putting anybody down, but we need to look at that. Need to look at that. That's the cost of living.
When is the last time educators got
so
it?
For me, that is what it is.
Okay,
but
everybody.
my information are now outdated.
Thank you, Mr. G.
Are not outdated. It's 2021.
Stand by, everybody. We're going to just jump over, and then I know that Bree has a question here about the last time educators were given a raise. And so on the Bree side, we're KUAM FM, Magatni Guam, KUAM TV. Fix yourself, guys. Here we come. Another episode of The Link. Good morning. Guam. Good morning, KUAM TV. Welcome to The Link. We're brought to you by Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, ITNE, and Jack in the Box. It is Tuesday, the 1st of the month, February 1st, 2022. Coming up, our 8 o'clock news brought to you by Pacific Points and Attorney General Levin Camacho also on the way. Right now, though, in progress with Board of Education Chair Mark Mendiola and member Mrs. Maria Gutierrez. Sabrina was just asking a question. Bree, good morning.
Yeah, I wanted to know when was the last time educators got a pay raise?
Sorry, coming in very broken up. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, when is the last time educators got a pay raise?
Oh, Ms. G, you remember that? You recall that? What was the last increment or salary adjustment that educators had? Was that during the CWA, right?
Yeah, the CWA. But remember that there was a lot of disgruntled employees when that CWA was implemented, and they were told file an appeal. But I don't know what happened with that appeal. But that is where we have a lot of disgruntled employees. We have a system principal who said that the teacher, at the school where he's at, this teacher is earning more, 5 times more than him. But because if the CWA, that's the problem. It's beyond our control at the board, because we have at the Department of Education, because we have to follow the CWA. That is,
right.
That's,
I think Ms. G, it was right before I've been on the board almost 5 years. So
let's go 2014, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
So before I came on the board, it was complicated. But yeah, it was a compression issue, Bree, because the ones that have been longer in the system, basically some of them got like a 25 cent raise versus someone who just came in and got, a couple $100 raise, And so that was the challenge. And I think that's the reason why this educator pay, salary increment or whatever you call it, we have to look at it and do that study. But Ms. G is absolutely right. I mean, all these factors come into play. This is a time and just globally, the professions that are hard to fill now. You got nurses now that are also, some of them are taking time off, resigning and leaving. I know a couple of friends in the mainland that are nurses are saying, I want to become a traveling nurse so I don't have to, go and see the world at the same time. And then we have educators that saying, I'm taking a semester off, I'm taking a year off, and then I'll see if I want to come back, So mental health too is a big key to a lot of the stuff and the challenges we're faced with. But, when you're talking about, creating a salary that's going to be comparable and comfortable for people to live on the islands. And unfortunately, some of our folks live paycheck to paycheck, and that's because of the cost of living. It's very high. It's hard to get creative when it comes to, your financial resources when you're having to make ends meet. I know some folks, their water bills going up, their power bills going up, and yet even gas to go to the schools is going up, and so you got to take all these things into consideration. So to make it short, the Board of Ed is going to look at this. We're going to conduct this study as soon as possible. I know the superintendent is going to lead that effort, and I do know Ms. Gutierrez asked that I appoint her to if this committee is assembled. And I want to get this done as soon as possible so that we put it before the plates of our legislative body when we're discussing this upcoming budget. So usually in the month of June is when we get called before the legislature to quote unquote defend our budget. I don't really call it defend our budget. I think we justify our budget. Mm-hmm. We justify why we're asking that amount, and we really need our folks to look at it and the big picture stuff. And the big scheme of things is, what are we trying to do here as a community? And if everybody says education is important, then we need to show that by putting the resources behind it. And if you're not comfortable and you say you don't trust the way the department is managing it, I have this to say to these folks that, we've had clean audits. We've had external agencies. We have the federal government overlooking us at this point, and we're doing a pretty good job, all things considered, regarding the resources that we get from the legislative body, and we cannot keep depending on the federal government to bail us out. This is the Guam Department of Education, and there's this thing called maintenance of effort, And it's basically your average of 3 years of federal local appropriations to guarantee that the federal government that our local government also has some skin in the game when it comes to investing in its own education system. And one thing unique about Guam is we're both the state and the local agencies, and that's the reason why John also has oversight over federal dollars that go to other school entities, whether it be through private schools or even to charter schools, and also to GCC, any program that's tied into some of the federal side of things. But I can reassure our community that we're looking at this under the lens that we want things to be sustainable. And obviously, we cannot raise taxes, and that's the other way. When we raise taxes, again, it creates a lot of challenges for our people. One thing about a lot of jurisdictions in the mainland, the way they fund their education system is tied to property taxes. And I know that our property taxes here in Guam are not exorbitantly high, but that's how they justify to their community that they're investing that money back into some sort of education system. But if I may just really quickly, one thing that I want to share that the board has been undertaking, it's the strategic plan. And the strategic plan is basically a 5-year plan that looks at the overall picture of the department and what the Department of Education should look like in 5 years from now. So our ultimate goal is really to raise the test scores of our kids. And one of the challenges we have right now is, of course, with the shutdown and a lot of things that have been delayed. So the board took action at this last meeting in line with the assessments. We authorized the superintendent, or actually requested the superintendent to conduct a end of school year assessment to give us a baseline of where students are grade level. And so what that would do for us is provide interventions or additional support, and highly encourage and recommend those kids that fall into that category to take summer classes, to take after school programs, or to take additional supports within the schools. And like Ms. G said, our teachers and our staff, they're the backbone of our education system here on the island. So we need to support them in that regard. And some of our folks are burnt out. It's one of the reasons why we requested that there's a waiver for this 180-day requirement. And I just got to say this to the community really quickly, that this 180-day requirement, of course, is by law, but really we've conducted, even if the schools where we had the cohort model, and we also had the take home, and then of course face-to-face. But based on that, our educators came in, they've taught all through that time. And really it's just trying to bring the kids and to catch them up to their level that they need to be. So we can't predict the future in terms of what this pandemic's going to bring. And if the schools, if the pandemic or the emergency, there's another strain that causes us to shut down schools, to ensure the safety of our kids, it could prolong, those days. And that's one of the reasons why we requested that waiver. And, the legislature has done that in the past. But we basically want to give the opportunity for the department to kind of also decompress itself in terms of human resources. Right now with this pandemic that's going on in the schools, we have some positive rates. We're deploying people from central office to fill the gaps. I do know that they're going out there and they're acting as substitute teachers. Some of them are actually down there doing home monitoring. And then, of course, some of them are tied to a federal program. So that's, we're working as a team. But eventually, push comes to shove and the school determines that they can no longer operate at a safe level with human resources, then they'll make that request to the superintendent. But I do know we're channeling the resources to address that so that we continue the face-to-face mode of learning and provide the necessary supports in terms of ensuring that our students and our faculty and our staff remain safe by wearing their masks, washing their hands, social distancing, having the schools sanitized, and doing all these things that we said we're going to do to keep our kids. I drop my kids to school every morning, and I'm greeted at the gate. They won't let me come in the gate without my mask on with my kids in the car. My kids get down, they hand sanitize, they take their temperatures, ask them if they're feeling any symptoms. And if the kids say no, then they're on their way to getting an education for the day. So yeah, that's pretty much a long-winded answer to that question. But yes, we got a lot of things on our plate.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
we're going to tie it all together with a strategic plan, and we're going to be able to build upon that.
Chris and Bree, just before Mr. Mendola, we go off. If anyone there that is not here on Guam, look for the Government of Guam Competitive Wage Act of 2014, and that's Public Law 32-68. It's here. This is where all the salary schedules for teachers and all government Guam employees. So please don't say that I don't know what I'm talking about, because I do. And yes, Mr. Glenn, it's right. This they took it back. So for the audience that are listening, research the CWA of 2014, because this is when the study, the salary that the teachers got, and it wasn't, I don't know what kind of study. But for me, if I'm going to be in this committee, I'm going to make sure I include teachers. Mm-hmm. I want the teachers to be in that committee so we can hear from them. But I want also all DOE employees to be taken care of on this study. So that's all I have to say. Regardless of why, that I don't know what I'm saying. Yes, I do know what I'm saying.
Just for clarification, the 2014 Competitive Wage Act study that included the teachers, they did or did not get raises as a result of that study.
Sorry, Bria, man, you're really breaking up. I can't really hear you.
You said as a result of the Competitive Wage Act 2014 study, did the teachers get the raise or not? Or did they get it and then not get it?
Man, sorry, I'm really, both of you coming in very muffled.
In 2014, when that Competitive Wage Act study was completed via Public Law 3268, did the teachers get the raises at that time or not?
I believe it was across the board. Competitive Wage Act, Ms. G, was across the board.
Yes, it's across the board, and that's why there's a lot of employees were not satisfied, were not happy with the where they were slotted.
Yeah.
But so that time DOA said, if you're not satisfied or happy, file an appeal. And I know there's a lot of employees that file an appeal. What happened to their appeal? I don't know, because that is handled by Department of Administration, not the Department of Education, not the board. Yeah. So that's a question that should be posed to Department of Administration, is what happened to the appeals, because I know that a lot of government employees were not satisfied, specifically the way they were slotted. And that's why we have this assistant principal that was really making a complaint about it. When as far as Civil Service Commission said, that's because of the CWA, that's through a Department of Administration. So it's not the board. It's not the board, it's not the Department of Education. We have to follow what the CWA.
Thank you, Mrs. G. Thank you, Mark.
Wait, just real quickly, did you guys get the waiver for the 180-day instructional time? And what about the waiver for the service learning requirements?
Yeah, for both, we requested that the superintendent submit a request to the legislature on the service learning requirement, and then also on the 180-day. And the reason why we did that was kind of like a proactive step, Chris and Bree, because like I said, we don't know what's going to happen in the next week or 2 or 3 or 4. And if schools, start to go offline because of higher numbers or another strain comes through, then of course, we wanted to be able to do that. But like I said, what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out where, not figure out, but determine the level in which our students are operating and towards the end of the school year, so that if there's additional supports that's needed for these folks, that we identify them, and then we send a note home to the parents saying, hey, look, we got a summer school program that can help your child in reading or mathematics or whatever that weakness may be. And there's some kids that would be maybe up to level, with their studies, and they may be able to function at the next grade level without too much stress. And so what we're doing is we're basically coming up with a creative way. We've engaged with our teachers, we've engaged with our staff, we've engaged our people on the front lines, and to extend another 24 days, that's another month basically for the Department of Education that will go all the way into June. And then what is that going to mean in terms of our resources as well? We're going to basically have to fund, that, and then that's assuming that, educators that met their 180-day requirement would want to come back and continue on with the school year. Like I mentioned, even though that the kids were on online or on cohorts, the teachers were still showing up every day to work. And so that's the dilemma, the challenge we're faced with when you look at these modes of learning. So we really just need to get over this hurdle. I hope that we get over this pandemic sooner than later so that we can go back to operating and people are comfortable about their kids attending face-to-face 100%, and that's where our line of conducting our work has always been face-to-face. And this pandemic has really, one thing it taught us is how to be flexible when it comes to, administering, educational resources and also administering educational guidance to our kids.
When does John get back? I
I
understand
believe he's in the WAS. I believe it's Friday. Friday he'll be back on island. Yeah.
And acting
And one
super.
thing about DOE, we're actually one of the first school districts to be fully accredited by WASC. And so that's a major feat in itself. And that's to the credit of all the schools, because when they do a self-study, they engage everything when it comes to the curriculum, the academics, the student support services that are at the school level, and to have all schools from high school on elementary all the way up to high school. Most of the time is just primarily the high schools that get accredited, because when students graduate from high school, they have to come from an accredited institution to get into some U.S. academic institutions, right? And so it just shows a level of standard in which education is administered at the department. I wish that I just want to thank. It's a lot of work, guys, when it goes into a self-study, and it takes a lot of time and resources and teachers that are really dedicated and committed to ensuring that. And so, the benefits of having an accredited school is you're able to say to the community that there's quality education that's occurring. We're doing our best to ensure that, the kids get the best as we possibly can provide for them.
I wanted to just ask real quick before we let you guys go. Sorry, I know we're going long here, but comments on school violence, the fights, and also break-ins?
Yeah. So, when it comes to vandalism, it's a major setback for us because, of course, those academic resources are, computers and new technology that's being provided. That's for the community. That's for the schools. And so they're really hurting themselves, when they do that. And so, I do know that there's neighborhood watch programs, and we just ask the community to continue to be vigilant about, what's going on in the neighborhood. I'm a part of a neighborhood watch program, and man, folks are very brave. Chris, I just saw a video of someone jumping over my neighbor's gate to go and steal bananas off a tree. You know what I mean? And this is daylight, and there's cameras, and it doesn't deter them from doing stuff like that. I'm like, wow, and so, when it comes to our schools, of course, we're gated, we're secured, but folks still find a way to go around the system, I guess, so to speak, and then, they do some damage that it comes a cost back to the school system. And on the violence, one of the things that's, I tell this to folks, we don't teach violence in the schools. We don't teach our kids how to do that type of, but obviously there's some conflict resolution that needs to occur between these folks before it escalates to that point. But, as a parent, I talk to my kids about, proper behavior in schools, and that if a situation comes up and they basically got to be able to, separate themselves from that type of behavior and be able to, function properly in the school system, and respect. It really just boils down to respect for yourself and respect for the other people around you. And I do know that, with technology and people always trying to record, You know, that's the time when we're able to see what's really going on. These kids are setting up these stage fighting. If you see some of these videos, they'll know where the school aides are, and then they'll start throwing punches, haymakers, and then after they're done for, you know, whatever, how long it is, they shake hands and walk away like nothing occurred. But it's very dangerous when these people do that. And so, you know, there are mechanisms in place for the school to take a swift administrative action. And I do know that the superintendent said if this continues, or actually he already implemented it, that they will have the disciplinary committees assembled, and he would expel these students from the school so that to protect the other students from this type of violence. So it's a serious thing, and our committee just needs to surround itself and make sure that our kids, you know, do this. When things happen outside the gate and it festers over into the schools, it becomes a DOE problem, you know? Kids have an argument at the bus stop, and the next thing you know, they're surrounded with their friends in the school, and, you know, that mom mentality, and then you start taking it out in the schools, and it becomes a school issue. But really, the issue started outside of the gate. So, you know, DOE does its best to try to monitor and to provide those counseling and to provide all that stuff that is necessary for kids to know that that's not the appropriate thing to be doing in schools. But yeah, we have appropriate mechanisms in place to deal with students that decide to go down this path. And I hope and I pray that we don't get the bad message, or you guys are not reporting that another child lost his life or is maimed or injured severely because of some, you know, violence in the schools and stuff that it's just like, why would you do that in that type of environment?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. G.
Thanks, Ms. G.
I mean, we could easily go on another hour.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you guys
Mark's
next
like,
week.
Mark's like, no, I gotta go. Mrs. G, thank you. Esther, and Joss.
All right, take care.
Oh, boy.
That was a lot. That was a lot.
It's a little too much.
Nah, well, you know.
No, yeah.
I'm glad I got to hear updates. Third-party fiduciary agent.
Good points there. I mean, 7 years of clean audits. Right? That's
Hopefully it can be removed from that high-risk grantee status to save GDOE $2.2 million. Talked about the budget shortfall, started out at $45 million, managed to shave that down to $9 million. And, of course, the teacher pay raise issue and the educator pay raise issue. Hopefully, you know, they'll be able to complete this study by September.
Yeah.
When senators, you know, discuss the budget, pass it, hopefully, by October, the new fiscal year.
I feel bad for our teachers, though, because the law enforcement got their raise, the nurses got their raise, and the teachers, when we had John on, he said, oh, yeah, we're gonna get raises. It kind of, you know, and how, I guess, fast, or not fast, maybe just out of the blue, law enforcement, I mean, everybody got that 18%. I know the teachers were thinking, oh, it's a done deal. We're probably going to get our next paycheck, right? Because of how, like, quickly all this stuff evolved. And then to hear maybe September this year, I mean, you know, what does the governor think of that? Because it's an election year, and they sure could use that good news before the primary, if there is one. I'm just saying. It's 8:26. Quick break, and we're coming back. We're going to move things around. We got Attorney General Levin Camacho, and then we'll do news a little bit later. That's coming up right here on the link, brought to you by Pacific Points, Calvo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box. Good morning.
The KUAM Podcast Network is back and on demand, featuring a great variety of podcasts from our island and region, including culture, lifestyle, awareness, crime, politics, commentary, comedy, and entertainment. Available on most streaming platforms. The KUAM Podcast Network. Subscribe and listen now.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Got a question about your finances? You've come to the right place. Bring all your accounts together, even those that aren't with us, and see the big picture, right down to the smallest detail. Unlock powerful tools like Insights and Money Map that help you save time and take control of your finances. When you connect accounts with the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
Let us know what's up on our KOM News WhatsApp tip line at 671-727-0094. Share information about what's happening in your town, on Guam or the Sinamai, and what you want us to know. Reach us on WhatsApp at 671-727-0094.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
GU Self Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage. With generations of Filipinos calling Guam home, KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC and the Medical City, where patients are partners.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Pizza Hut stuffed crust is the crust that made crust good. Topped and stuffed with over a half pound of cheese. What are you so afraid of? Loving it? Original stuffed crust, only from Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore. Stop on by and visit our showroom today. We offer everyday low prices on all major outdoor power equipment like bush cutter, chainsaw, power washer, generators, and more. Need service, repair, maintenance? Well, check out Guam's best superstore only at Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, located in Barragata along Army Drive between Submarina and Besta Market. Call 735-7446 for more information. Now shipping to surrounding islands. Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore.
Taco Bell is so good and so cheap.
I know, right? I wonder why.
What if they know we're broke? What if they're trying to be the good guys?
Yeah. Thanks, Taco Bell!
Join Nestor Lecanto for virtual in-depth discussions with the movers and shakers in our community every Wednesday on In Full Zoom. Presented by IT&E and Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
At 637-0094 on Breeze 93.9 FM.
Times have changed and things are strange and we are so confused. Lives matter, but some.
I wonder if he wrote this about the public health flowchart. That we are so confused.
Keep your head
Good morning.
for your heart.
This came out, what, a week after the pandemic started?
Yeah, yeah. Good jam, Joe Guam. It's all day by day.
And didn't he wrote this with his wife and his children, right?
Yeah, he did.
They all collaborated.
We'll be okay. Good stuff. Before we get into our interview with the Attorney General, Levin Camacho, Jay, could you just run over the testing, vaccination, all that stuff?
Certainly. So testing today, of course, we say it all the time. The new policy is you have to have an appointment if you do want to be tested. But it's easy to do. Just go to tinyurl.com/COVID-stops-with-me if you need to be tested and you do qualify under the criteria. If you want to be tested at the Teton site, can't do so today because the testing site's already open. Remember, it's open from 8 to 12 and then 1 to 3. But tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm looking at the Eventbrite page right now, all open. So if you do need to be tested and you do meet the qualifications, please do get tested for that. You can also call if you are symptomatic. Remember, the Derrida and Inilahan regional healthcare centers will only take you by appointment only and only if you are symptomatic. But the number for Derrida is 671-635-7525 or 7526, or for Inilahan, 671-828-7604 or 7605. To get the shot, all you got to do is go to tinyurl.com/VAXGuam, and you can make an appointment to be seen at either of those regional health clinics that I just mentioned, Derrida or Inilahan, or in the middle of the island, at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse in Manila, or you can just contact your private clinic. And thank you from the four of us here in the studio for doing what you have to do to keep our island safe.
Thank you, Jay. We did have a couple comments here. Good finds. Chris, how about the staff? Talking about the raises over at GDOE. They haven't had a pay increase or promotion in years. Been status quo for years. But Bree, one of the takeaways from that interview was Mrs. G was saying that she favors an increase for pretty much all the GDOE staffers because comparatively their pay is lower than, I guess, their stateside counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the news from that interview. Thank you guys so much on Facebook Live. Attorney General Levin Camacho joins us here in the KUAM News Link Zoom room. Good morning, AG.
Hey, good morning, Chris. Jason.
I know it's not on the list, but we did report on it last night that I saw your wife had picked up a packet for a re-election packet, and I know I'd asked you about it in the last interview, and you got kind of iffy about talking about it. So is there anything you can say about that at all?
Hold on, Chris. I'm having a hard time, so I'm going to put on my headphones.
Yeah, okay. Oh. All right.
You know, every time I wear this in meetings, they say it looks like I'm a DJ at a club or something, and I wish I was that cool. I'm listening to Kenny G. I just heard you say something about my wife being my life manager. And that's, I can confirm that she is. And what was the second part, Chris? I'm sorry.
Just that she had picked up the re-election packet for you, and I was asking, did you have any comment on that before we get into all the official business?
Yeah, you know, and we're about to talk about some of the great work my office is engaged in, and I'm grateful every day to be part of this team, and I'm hoping to serve as Attorney General for 4 more years. So I can confirm I'm going to be running for re-election.
Okay. AG, I guess we did have a list of topics, but was there stuff that you wanted to talk about before we get into that?
You know, Chris, I'm really having a hard time hearing you. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if it's on my end or what.
I said that I know we sent a list of topics over to you, but was there stuff that you wanted to cover before we get into that?
Yeah, well, you know, I guess I would start by something that hasn't really been touched on too much yet, which is this settlement that we were able to secure a payment for taxes in the Verona sale. You guys are familiar with the Verona Hotel, and one of the things, so we have secured with Revan Tax, Daphne Shimizu and her team, a $1.6 million payment. And I believe that's actually cash that's in the bank that will be transferred over to the government of Guam for outstanding BPT, real property taxes, as well as income taxes. And this is something that was started back in 2019. And we came out with a press release saying we're going to prioritize tax collection efforts. For the first time, we set up a system with Director Shimizu and her team. And I want to give a shout out to Carolyn Rivera and Jean Flores for kind of walking this through. But this is back in 2019. We filed our first set of injunctions based on failure to pay BPT, and we were able to obtain some judgments. And after that, 2020, the owner, or there's a bankruptcy proceeding that gets started, and our office and DRT are engaged. We are hoping to get paid, and there was an auction, a judicial auction last month, and the payment just came through, I believe, over the weekend. So we're looking at, and just in that one case alone, bringing in about $1.6 million for the government of Guam as a result of these collection efforts. So that's just one case. We have a bunch of others. You know, not everyone's going to be a $1.6 million payout, but you know, this is. I just want to. Sometimes some things are easier to change, and others, these new initiatives, take a little bit more time. And this is one of those situations where there was a commitment made. You know, we very early on we met with Governor Leon Guerrero, Lieutenant Governor Tenorio, and they talked about wanting to prioritize this. So we put a pause on these collection efforts for the last 2 years because of COVID, basically only filing things that needed to be filed to prevent statute of limitations from running. So, you know, we want to be sensitive to the economic environment that we're in. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of what's going on, and that's a pretty significant payout. I don't believe we've ever secured that large of a payout upfront in cash from a sale ever.
So where is this money going to go? Or what's it going to be used
I'm
for?
sorry, Sabrina, sorry. I don't know why I'm having real issues
You mentioned
with my audio today.
you guys got the money in the bank. So what's it going to be used for?
So this is actually outstanding, again, income tax, BPT, real property tax.
Right.
And this will be used to satisfy those arrears, essentially, of outstanding tax bills.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this property, Verona is what we're talking about, guys. It's been in the news a lot over the last few years. I think because of stories that I had done about just dumps that they had there. The Guam EPA had, I mean, they'd got a bunch of citations. So, what do you know the current status of that property, AG, or no?
So the sale again went through last week, and there's going to be a new owner, and I guess they're going to take over and do whatever they plan on doing with it.
All right. Anything else?
Well, I mean, we can go into your questions, Chris. I'm sure we're going to cover a lot of stuff too.
I guess, could we start with the autopsies? I know that a GPD had deferred us to your office for comment on the autopsies of
Michael Castro and Adam Messier. I mean, that's a while back, but we never got any kind of update on.
This is where I think there's, I don't want to say disconnect, but you know, our burden of proof in the criminal proceeding and an investigation, we can use circumstantial evidence to establish identity. But when you ask a doctor to identify, they will use a different standard. They're not going based on, you know, the victim was last seen wearing these clothes. We received information from someone who was involved in something saying that if we look here, this is where we're going to find remains. A medical doctor is not going to use that to conclusively or positively ID a victim. So in certain situations, for a medical identification, they're going to have to rely on things such as DNA, dental records, other things. For our prosecution and for GPD, I'm sure if you get Chief Ignacio on, he can tell you and lay out factually why we believe, you know, we can prove presumptively that these are the victims, and we've charged out those cases, and those are proceeding. So our doctor has not medically identified the victims. He has completed the autopsy and has come to a conclusion and cause of death, but he has not kind of said there's not enough at this point, but that continues to move forward. So I just wanted to explain that a little bit, because it's like, oh, the doctor has an idea, and they're using a different standard than we would use to prosecute a case and to eventually prove in court.
So were the findings of the autopsy consistent with kind of what you guys have been able to glean from the investigation and everything else?
You know, Chris, I have to review and just see what's out there. I know that those cases are active, and it's a little bit tougher for us to talk about active investigations. But I'll see what's been put out at this point and get back to you.
So what is the status of hiring a medical examiner?
So the last time I was on, I mentioned that we had been authorized to make an offer to Dr. Sue. And at that point, the offer was a total package of over $400,000 with a base salary of $310,000. And to put things in perspective, the entire budget for the CME office is $430,000. So this is where, you know, we're really going to need the support of the legislature to come in and to properly fund that office. So we'll be providing an update at a publicly noticed meeting on Thursday on the recruitment efforts and where things are at. But there was authorization, we've made the offer, and we'll be providing an update in about 2 days.
What would the funding source be? I mean, are you able to use any like ARP or anything like that, or would it just come out of the general fund?
Yeah. So the offer was made based on the current budget. So right now we are, as you know, when I started, we didn't have a forensic pathologist at all. And we had Dr. Donovan flying in. So we've since entered into this MOU with GMH, where they are regularly performing non-forensic autopsies. We have a contract with 3 forensic pathologists who fly in to perform those autopsies. And we certify funds for all of those autopsies. And if we're underutilizing those funds, we can use it to pay salaries and benefits and make an offer. So that's where the funding source. We also have partnered with General Manabusan out of the NMI, and they have agreed to pay $50,000 towards the salaries and benefits, with the understanding that our forensic pathologists will perform forensic autopsies for both the NMI as well as Guam.
Okay, so the meeting is Thursday?
I'm sorry?
The meeting is Thursday?
The meeting is Thursday. Okay. I will get you the time right now. It is at 10:30 a.m.
Okay. So that's when you're going to announce whether or not he accepted the offer.
That's correct. We'll be providing an update on recruitment at that point.
All right.
Can we get you on some of the recent cases, convictions that your office has had?
I know we're in trial now. You know, Chris, this is another one where I'm very hesitant to talk about criminal cases just based on the nature of these things, and I don't want to. Now, as much as I would love to come on, and that's typically how people hear about our office, but I just feel really hesitant to talk about it. I can say that, there's 2 trials going on right now. I believe both are homicide trials. Right. Our prosecution division has been very busy as of late, but other than that, there's not really much that I can say other than providing updates on where things are at procedurally.
Can you tell us about, I know there was that, the quarantine audit from the port, and then I think the last time you were on, you said you were seeking an opinion from the Supreme Court of Guam?
Yeah, so we filed that petition last month, basically to put this issue to bed of whether or not the governor violated Guam law when she procured hotels early on in the pandemic, basically the first time that we had these quarantines of travelers, in particular travelers coming from the Philippines. We filed that in December. We have served a copy on the governor, so she has 60 days to file her response to the lawsuit. We've also provided copies of the complaint to senators who are interested in this issue. So they are, they can participate if they would like. They can make that decision if they want to participate in the Superior Court proceeding. But I believe the response is going to be due next month in March, based on the 60-day timeline for any government official. It's been assigned to Judge Gutierrez. So we're just tracking, kind of filing the complaint and seeing where things go from there.
Can you provide an update on the situation over in Sasajan, Marbo Cave area? Because I did receive a copy of a letter. It was sent to Senator Rangel, the CCU, the legislature, the Manila mayor, and it says to your office about the continuous destruction of main water line in Sasajan Valley by KEPCO Solar Project. You familiar with this letter? Because I'm hearing that the water was even shut off, possibly even over the weekend.
Yeah. And then you also filed suit, right?
An amended complaint.
Yeah, we filed a leave to. So this is another one of those things where you look back at what we're trying to do as an office. Environmental litigation is one area that we're trying to build out. And this is the Sasajan Valley, and hopefully I'm saying that right, is one of these cases that we filed based on everyone saw the photos on the social media. But this is the first time our office is engaged in a cultural resource, natural resource damages type of claim. In addition to, some of the landowners have been denied access to their properties when there's heavy flooding as well. In the second amended complaint that we filed and we are asking for permission to proceed on, we learned that there was actually notice given to the owner of the construction company before the major flooding that there was going to be an issue, and specifically there was already runoff into the roadways. So we've alleged that they knew about it and they did not take adequate steps even at that point to address the issue of the lack of erosion controls and sediment control measures. We also learned that there were cultural resources that were damaged. In particular, there was a cultural deposit, and they basically went in with an excavator and were digging, and they hit some of these layers of cultural deposits. My understanding could be that area was used as a village from 1000 AD to 1700 AD. And we also have information to believe that they found human remains as well in these areas that were disturbed as a result of some of the construction activities. So we've added that to our complaint. I believe we have a hearing coming up in the next few weeks, and trial is currently set for November. So we're on track with that as well. But those are the new allegations that we included. And I saw the Youth Congress, and they're very engaged. It's always good to see young folks that are out there and very I don't want to see, not cynical yet, right? They haven't been invited to the petty party yet. Maybe that takes a few years in politics before you get that far. But it's good to see them engage on these issues.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And speaking of environmental work, so the ORDOT case also is moving forward. I believe there's a hearing set this week, a status conference. We've been assigned to a new judge, Judge Cobb. Actually, our last judge was elevated to the District of Columbia Court of Appeals, and she's on the short list as a potential nominee to the Supreme Court of the United States as well. So I guess if you work on a case from Guam, that'll put you on the fast track for consideration to sit as a justice at the Supreme Court of the United States. But that hearing is scheduled, I believe, for Thursday Guam time, and they're going to just start setting deadlines for discovery and potentially set the matter for trial.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but could we just go back to the Sasajan, the original landowners, or the landowners in that area? Did you receive that letter regarding the continuous destruction and the issues with the water and the water being shut off by KEPCO, allegedly?
Gosh, again, I can't really hear you too well, Sabrina. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what's going on my end. Technical difficulties.
Did you receive that letter from those landowners at the Satazen area about the water issues there?
I can just hear a little bit about water in the valley. I know. I guess I'm going to try to guess here. We are still proceeding on the damage to the water resources, both in the cave, and we also were able to obtain a photo that was taken by a neighboring landowner of a large plume of red dirt that was in the ocean after the major flooding in the third week, right after Liberation Day.
I'm actually referring to the water line.
The water lines?
Yeah, the residents are saying that it's been damaged, right, by KEPCO and rendering them without water.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with that. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll send it to Carlina to send.
If you could, thank you.
Yeah,
We'll do.
AG. But so with that whole Marble Cave thing, it seemed like right off the bat you had the involvement of all the regulatory agencies, DPW, Guam EPA, and stuff. So I was just kind of wondering, your suit, does it just fill in the gaps, or are you seeking anything that hasn't already been kind of remedied by this regulatory action?
We're seeking punitive damages, Chris. And really, it's just as a message that you get this idea out of people's heads that, I'm going to go in and wreak havoc on the island and then just pay afterwards and ask for forgiveness. I think this is an example where we believe that it was deliberate, that they did not build the ponding basins as they had agreed to do under their plans. And that's, we're going to be able to prove up the damages to the cultural resources and to the natural resources and our water resources. But we're looking at sending a message here that if you're a contractor and you're coming to Guam and you're engaging in construction projects, you got to follow what you've committed to and not just think, you're going to pay a fine after the fact and walk away scot-free.
Is there like a range of the damages monetarily that you're looking at?
Yeah, it's a multiplier basically based on what we're able to establish as the actual damages. And then it depends on how egregious the conduct is. You kind of get elevated from anywhere 3 times to 10 times. And we have requested a jury trial. So we want to be able to explain to, our peers, like this is what happened. And when you have a project this large, and again, that's our allegations, a project this large, a construction company this big, it's not accidental that, one of the things we've alleged is that they actually built a building where they should have built a ponding basin. And I don't know how you accidentally build your office space where on the plans you've provided to DPW, you were supposed to have built an area for the runoff and the water to flow into and to not run off down towards the cave and to the shoreline.
Yeah, that still blows my mind.
I wish someone would accidentally build me a house somewhere. Just on accident.
Yeah, I'm not a construction management guy, but I can look at a map and see, this should be a ponding basin, not an office,
right?
And figure that out. And some of the things that we're seeing, it's come out. They signed an archaeological monitoring plan as well, but they were supposed to have monitors out there whenever they're engaging in earthwork and excavation, which is why we've alleged that when they were out there digging, they didn't have the proper people on site, and they ended up, for me, it looks like, just a band of red dirt, right? But if you had an archaeologist on site, they would be able to identify that this is actually significant. This is cultural deposit. There's pottery shards here. There's other things that we can use. We need to come in and preserve and inventory some of these items and then go from there. So that's, Chris, it's just one of those things, again, where you come in, it's like, okay, thank you. Are we good now? We're going to go about our business. And we just need to knock that off and just be prepared to move forward. We have a good team that's on it. One of the other things that's unique under our cultural resource statute, we're entitled to attorney's fees if we prevail. So we have our team. We've never done this before, but we're learning quick. And, it's something we have a lot of resources from other AG's offices. This is an issue that we're hoping to beef up on. We actually are going to be hosting or sponsoring a training in March for regulatory environmental agencies on what we need to be looking at for both private individuals as well as the federal government, because sometimes our disputes are between, like the ORDOT case, it's our office at odds with potentially DOD. With the receivership case, our office is kind of in an adverse position to US EPA. So we just want to make sure our staff and all the staff that are here for our local agencies are equipped when it's time to kind of go up against the feds. And private parties as well. But that's something that we are going to build out our capacity here at the office.
Was there an update on the review of the port audit? Were you looking at that? I thought I saw a release.
Yeah, you know, I'm not looking just to avoid any issues. I'm not involved in anything involving these prior port employees. I represented an employee at something. I don't know if it's connected at all to the audit or if it's a client, but just we're erring on the side of caution that I'm not going to be engaged just to avoid anything, any kind of speculation that I was persuading our office to take a position one way or the other. So we've referred that to our chief deputy to review and to handle that matter for the office.
What about the GORA? Was there an issue with the retroactive pay for GORA?
Yeah, I mean, that's an example of when it works right. You know, we had a question raised by the OPA on whether or not GORA could retroactively or make a raise retroactive to anniversary date. And we issued an opinion saying, no, you can't. There's, you know, classified employees in the government of Guam have a statute that allows for you to refer back to your anniversary date, but there's no similar statute for unclassified employees. So it doesn't matter what your rules and regs say, the statute that prohibits retroactive pay will trump that. So after we issued our opinion, we received word from GORA that they made the decision to not, you know, proceed to amend the personnel actions and to only make those raises paid prospectively. So it's not juicy for television, but we got it right. And that's an example where OPA, our office, and the agency are kind of working together to stay on the right side of the law in these situations.
I was wondering if you had any comments on the upcoming completion and opening of the DNA lab over at GCC. You know, we used to have the chief of police when he was allowed to come on live on the show to talk about, you know, the progress and accomplishments over at GPD, but as everyone knows, they're not allowed to come on anymore. But do you have any comment regarding the opening of the DNA lab? I think it's opening this month, I think.
Wow.
Anything that gives tools to law enforcement folks, you know, we're gonna support. Chief and his guys are doing a great job over there, and we're working with them to build out our capacity to work better with our law enforcement folks. I know that he was very happy with the raise that our office was affected by that 18% law enforcement raise, and those guys need to get paid properly. So hopefully that will stop the poaching of our talented local law enforcement folks to these federal agencies, which I believe has been happening quite a bit. So anything we can do to support Chief, obviously, we're going to be in favor of. That will help, because ultimately that helps us, right? It benefits us and it benefits the island.
AG, so I know one of the things that the chief was talking about with this DNA lab that he had wanted to look into was reopening cold cases, right, where they have evidence, you know, DNA type of evidence that they could, you know, possibly run through whatever they have there at the lab. Are you going to be involved in any type of like commission that reviews cold cases?
You know, it's I can hear you, and then I can't read because you're wearing a mask.
Let me use my announcer voice. Yeah. So anyway, the chief was saying that with the DNA lab, what they wanted to do was kind of look at cold cases where they have evidence of that type and maybe reopen them. So my question was, are you going to be involved in any type of commission or board that reviews these cases and makes a determination as to which ones we can move forward on?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been talking to Chief about that and his initiative, and we're actually looking at training that we can send some of our prosecutors on, in particular for cold cases or cases where it's not the standard, I don't want to say the standard homicide, but these more just requires a different skill set potentially to prosecute cases. As an example, if you can't find a body, you know, you find something at the scene, you find DNA that lines up with a suspect. How do we prosecute those cases? So we've been talking to Chief. We try to avoid a task force if there's not going to be an output. We'd rather just let the actions speak for themselves. So, you know, Chief goes out, gets DNA, and we work with them to prosecute these cases. You're going to see it when we charge it out, but maybe we will have to have larger discussions with these other agencies to beef up those resources. But we have been in talks, and we're trying to get specialized training on those types of cases just to, again, to beef up our resources here at the office.
All right.
Anything in closing, AG?
You know, and again, Chris, this is just the last week or two that we're talking about. I do want to give an update. One of the other initiatives we've had is to try to be more proactive in filing lawsuits and also to bring money for our drug issues, right? And we talked a little bit about the opioid settlement. So there was a major milestone. Last week was the deadline. So we had kind of 3 trigger points. One was states and territories to sign on to these settlement agreements. So we have, I believe, 4. We have the Purdue Pharmaceuticals case that's going forward. We have Johnson & Johnson. We have the 3 large distributors, and we have the McKinsey. So McKinsey's already been paid out. That money's already been, kind of spent locally. Last week, Johnson & Johnson, which is a $5 billion settlement total package, and the 3 distributors, which is a $21 billion settlement. It was a deadline for states, territories, and their local subdivisions to participate. And at that point, there are 44 and 45 states and territories that have signed on. And I believe it's been reported 90% of local governments have agreed to sign on to that framework. So the next milestone is later, it's already February. January, it felt like a year. But later in February, the distributors in Johnson & Johnson will decide whether or not they are going to sign on based on the number of states, territories, and subdivisions that have agreed to it. And if it does proceed, we're looking at getting our first payment out of those settlements as early as June of this year. So there was a law, I think we talked about this opioid trust fund. There's a commission that's going to talk about the most effective way to use these funds. And again, I want to thank Governor Senator Shelton and all the senators who supported that bill. So we're looking at convening that commission within the next few months just to make sure we have a game plan as the money begins to roll in.
Got it. Thank you, AG.
Thanks, AG.
And the last thing, make sure you wish Carlene a happy birthday. She's probably going to get mad at me. But,
Okay.
I don't know how old she is. Out of respect, I won't say how old she is.
Thank you, AG.
Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Right.
there you go. Yeah, and happy birthday to Carlina Chatfris, the
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
spokesperson of for the Office of the Attorney General. That's off Attorney General Levin Camacho. We're taking a quick break, and we're coming back with your news here. Your 8 o'clock news at 9 o'clock. Proudly brought to you by Pacific Points. And that's on the way right here on the link. We're brought to you by, again, Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box. Good morning.
We know you're tired of hearing about COVID-19. Some of you are probably wondering whether this is ever going to end. However long it takes, we all have to do our part, including our children, to hold the line. You can protect yourself and your family by getting vaccinated.
And if you're already vaccinated, don't let your guard down because you can still give and get COVID-19. And if you're not vaccinated, remember that if you catch the virus, you could suffer more severe complications. At the end of the day, it's the choices we make to protect ourselves, our families, and our community that will control the spread.
We know it sounds repetitive at this point, but again, wash your hands, watch your distance, and wear your mask.
Together, we have to hold the line.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Taco Bell is so good and so cheap.
I know, right? I wonder why.
What if they know we're broke? What if they're trying to be the good guys?
Yeah. Thanks, Taco Bell!
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Pizza Hut stuffed crust is the crust that made crust good. Topped and stuffed with over a half pound of cheese. What are you so afraid of? Loving it? Original stuffed crust, only from Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore. Stop on by and visit our showroom today. We offer everyday low prices on all major outdoor power equipment like bush cutters, chainsaw, power washer, generators, and more. Need service, repair, maintenance? Well, check out Guam's best superstore, only at Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, located in Barragata along Army Drive between Submarina and Besta Market. Call 735-7446 for more information. Now shipping to surrounding islands. Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, where you get smart insights into your finances so you can make smart decisions with your money. With a daily personalized feed, you can compare your monthly income to spending. That's better. Discover where your money is actually going. You might be surprised. See what's essential and what isn't. The more you use the app, the smarter it gets. With insights from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
Hafaday Guam, our community partner APL, invites the public to a donation drive to benefit Harvest House right here at home. Join us on Saturday, February 5th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Costules in Tamuning, where we will be accepting donations. Your contribution would go a long way to supporting our community and those who have come to rely on Harvest House. Any and all donations are welcome. Thank you, Guam. APL, Better Ways.
Join Nestor Lacanto for virtual in-depth discussions with the movers and shakers in our community every Wednesday on In Full Zoom. Presented by IT&D and Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Listen, watch, and learn from the daily Chamorro news updates from KUAM News. Catch them on The Link during the 8 o'clock hour, streaming online on Isla Radio, or on the KUAM News YouTube channel for your convenience. Tune in and stay informed, all while preserving our precious culture through the daily use of our native Chamorro language. Chamorro news updates are brought to you by your familia at First Hawaiian Bank.
Driving round, windows down, warm breeze and a soulful sound. I got my mind made up about where I wanna be. Can't nobody take my home from me. There is no place like home. Saying goodbye to how quiet, and I'm proud of where I'm from. Yeah, there's no place like home. A palm tree sway both night and day. Paradise, it's the only way. I got my mind made up about where I wanna be. Can't nobody take my home from me. There is no place like home. Saying goodbye.
Hey, we're back. 906. We're at KUAM FM Agutni Guam on the breeze on KUAM TV. Good morning.
I got a message, Chris and Bree, from a buddy of mine who, the guy I was talking about, he was in quarantine, or he was isolating for 5 days because he did test positive, but, you know, he was fine. He messaged me when he was on the road driving on Sunset Boulevard through Tejan. He's heading, like, downtown because he works down there. He said, I feel like after 6 days in isolation, I feel like I'm being shot out of a cannon at 25 miles per hour.
So they're allowed to go back to work, right?
Yeah.
They could have went back to work yesterday, right? According to the guidance?
Yeah.
Right. 906, Tuesday, February 1st, the first of the month. Let's go ahead and get into our extensive look at news here for this hour, brought to you by Pacific Points with the very latest from the KUAM News team. Sabrina Salas-Mantanani. Good morning, Sabrina.
Off the day, everybody. It's making news all across the country as tensions rise along the Pacific Rim when North Korea launched a missile capable of hitting U.S. military bases in the region, including Guam. Skylar Henry has more details from the White House.
North Korea released still photos of Sunday's launch of an intermediate-range ballistic missile from a mobile vehicle near the Chinese border, as well as pictures it says were taken in space from a camera on the missile. The missile flew to an altitude of more than 1,200 miles before coming back down off North Korea's east coast. The Hwasong-12 has a range of up to 2,800 miles, making it capable of hitting U.S. military bases in Guam and Okinawa, Japan.
We are in close coordination and consultation with our allies and partners. That's not just South Korea, but Japan as well, about the threats that the burgeoning ballistic missile program by Kim Jong-un continues to present.
Japan's Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno said the missile launch threatens the peace and security of the country, the region, and the international community. The Biden administration says it remains committed to making sure North Korea does not become a nuclear nation, and says it's willing to hold talks with the North over its ballistic missile and nuclear programs.
We remain committed to a denuclearized Korean peninsula. We remain committed to diplomatic talks. We've told Pyongyang we're willing to sit down without precondition to have those kinds of dialogues. But obviously, Kim Jong-un wants to go a different way. So we have to make sure that we're ready militarily on the peninsula and in the region.
This is the 7th North Korean launch of short or intermediate missiles this month, leading to some fears it's a precursor to North Korea's resuming tests of nuclear weapons or intercontinental ballistic missiles. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The Joint Information Center announced Monday evening 5 more COVID-related fatalities. The 286 pronounced dead at the Chief Medical Examiner's morgue on January 15th. The patient was a 63-year-old man. He was unvaccinated with underlying conditions. He tested positive on December 22nd. The 287th was pronounced dead on arrival at Naval Hospital on January 27th. The patient was a 57-year-old man vaccinated with underlying health conditions. The 288th was pronounced dead on arrival at GMH on January 29th. The patient was a 94-year-old woman. She was vaccinated, again, underlying health conditions, according to the Joint Information Center. The 289th was pronounced dead on arrival on January 29th at Naval Hospital. The patient was an 82-year-old woman, also vaccinated, also with underlying health conditions. The 290th was pronounced dead on arrival at Naval Hospital, also on January 29th. The patient was a 76-year-old woman, also vaccinated, and again, also with underlying health conditions. A total of 36 people with COVID are now hospitalized. There are 23 patients being treated at GMH, 13 at GRMC. 3 people are in ICU at GMH, 25 patients vaccinated, 11 unvaccinated. Public Health has also reported additional test results from Saturday to Monday. Between January 29th and the 31st, there are now 527 new positive cases. 116 of these cases were reported through the Department of Defense. To date, there have been a total of 32,331 officially reported cases, 290 deaths, 6,929 cases in active isolation, and 25,112 recoveries. Public Health also received new results from virus samples sent to Hawaii for genome sequencing. All 10 samples that were sent were identified as the Omicron variant of concern. The virus samples were from January 7th to January 10th. As of the 30th, a total of 132,996 of Guam's eligible population is fully vaccinated, while a total of 51,265 booster shots have been administered. COVID-19 treatments are finally being administered to high-risk patients, and one of the antiviral pills were made available. Daniel Perez reports.
Monoclonal antibody sotrovimab, effective against the Omicron variant, has finally reached the island. PAG Chair Dr. Nathaniel Berg confirming they're already being administered through IV. Residents who take it will be monitored for an hour for any adverse reactions.
Over the weekend, it was provided to patients at GRMC and at GMH. And I think that was a good plan to let the hospitals do it first, because the patients are coming into the ER that are sick. This can have an immediate or near immediate effect of keeping them out of the hospital.
Dr. Berg confirms Guam received 120 doses of sotrovimab. As of Sunday, 8 patients were treated using the MAB therapy. As for the antiviral pill molnupiravir, they were distributed to pharmacies today and can be obtained by high-risk individuals with a doctor's prescription.
That medication is already in pharmacies. It's at the OCA Superdrug, at AMC, American Medical Center's pharmacy, as well as in the Datado Public Health Pharmacy North. And it will be further distributed.
Dr. Berg adds most local pharmacies are willing to help distribute the antiviral pills, even with the complications that come with it. Dr. Berg assures residents that these pharmacies were educated in the precautions on the pills, as well as who can and cannot take it. He adds Guam has a supply of molnupiravir to treat 232 patients. As for the Paxlovid pills, Guam has enough to treat up to 80 patients. As we reported, patients with serious kidney and liver problems, as well as those undergoing dialysis, cannot take the Paxlovid pills. Additionally, eligible children 12 years and older are able to receive the treatment. Daniel Perez reporting for Guam's News Network.
And joining us now in studio with the latest news from the CNMI, we've got Tomas Manglotnia. Good morning, Tomas.
Good morning, Bree. And so here's some of the headlines making news in the CNMI. First, we have schools on Rota that are transitioning to a cohort system with rise in COVID cases there. On Saipan, administrative staff are having to step up to fill in for teachers who are in quarantine. Here's more. More COVID-19 cases on Rota prompting a shift in learning for students in the public school system.
The Rota situation, we are addressing it by switching to the cohort and remote learning at the same time. So we didn't shut down the school as they wish.
That means students can rotate between attending classes on campus and learning asynchronously online.
A lot of our students, some of our students still want to come to campus. We didn't want to dismiss that. We actually welcome that. But then there's the group that are scared or have for fear of getting the COVID, they decided to stay home. So we're accommodating them.
The schedule is temporary, in effect for just 2 weeks. They'll reevaluate plans based on attendance rates for both in-person and online learning. Back on Rota, at the elementary school, at least 8 school teachers and staff are sick and 15 students are in quarantine. At their junior-senior high school, 1 teacher and 2 students are in quarantine. Rota has more than 400 public school students. There aren't any changes for students on Saipan and Tinian, but at least 8 administrative staff, some of whom are former educators, on Saipan are now substitute teachers.
Right now, we're activating some staff as substitute teachers, staff from central office as substitute teachers to come in and help out throughout the days.
Teachers have to quarantine for at least 5 days and get tested for COVID on their last day. If they present symptoms on day 5, the clock resets and they have to quarantine for another 5 days.
We really want our students back face to face. There is no substitute of quality education where if we don't bring back our students.
Tomas Manglotnia for KUAM News. And in regional news, continuing with our coverage of the impeachment process for Governor Ralph Torres, the NMI Supreme Court is taking a hard pass at getting involved in Torres' Senate impeachment trial. In a stern letter to legislators, the 3 High Court justices declined to preside, saying the NMI Constitution doesn't require them to. Yesterday, we reached out to Senate President Jude Hofschneider, who said all options are on the table and they may ask justice and judges on Guam to preside over the trial. No NMI judge or justice will preside over the Senate impeachment trial of Governor Ralph Torres. The NMI's 3 Supreme Court justices, writing a stern letter in response to Senate President Jude Hofschneider's request last Friday that Chief Justice Alexandro Castro or his designee preside. The NMI Constitution is essentially silent on who should preside over an impeachment trial, something Senator Hofschneider acknowledged in his letter. Justice Castro, Justice John Manglotnia, and Justice Perry Enos, writing in part, in the absence of specific constitutional authority or directive, it would be inappropriate for the judiciary, a separate branch of government, to concern itself with the internal affairs of another branch. This is what the Senate President said last week when asked about who will preside.
That is the responsibility of the rules. The rules going to come out with the rules which is going to govern the how that would come about.
This morning, Senator Hofschneider told KUAM all options are on the table. That includes considering a justice or judge from Guam. The NMI justices stressed that, in their view, impeachment is a uniquely legislative and political function outside the purview of the court. They say participating in the trial would disrupt the balance of power among the three branches, adding, "We choose to maintain this balance." The Senate hasn't scheduled the impeachment trial. A joint Senate committee is expected to draft rules of their own this week, setting the parameters of the trial, including who can preside over it. Tomas Manglotnya for KOM News. KOM News. The Sinamay Republican Party says they aren't wasting time. Here's that story. Election season is in full swing, and the governor's seat will come with power over what's left of the nearly $500 million in American Rescue Plan funds. Governor Ralph Torres is running with Senator Vinny Sablan.
That in a couple weeks, not even months, the governor will be announcing a small to mid-sized business boost program that's designed to infuse anywhere from $5 to $15 million into the local economy to allow small to mid-sized businesses to start up and sustain their operations. A major priority of the Torres-Sablan administration is going to be growing exports.
That's one of the major federally funded initiatives the Torres administration is laser focused on.
The Republicans have always believed in small to mid-sized business as the engine of growth.
That growth may lead to potential involvement in the space industry for low-impact operations and expanding investments in cybersecurity. Perhaps the elephant in the room is Torres' impeachment and his lieutenant governor's run for office.
We don't, forgive me for saying, but we don't waste our time accommodating any negativity from the other camp, but we just focus on what is positive and what we can do for the people and the Marianas.
When we talk about our slogan of Together Stronger, Resilience and Vision, is just to stop all the division and to move forward unified with one goal and one mission, and that's to support the people that support us.
Tomas Manglotnya for KOM News. All right, those are your headlines, Daryl, from the CNMI.
Thank you so much, Tommy. Back to you, Sabrina Salas-Matanani, 920. Good morning.
Okay. Well, there is some welcome news for Guamanians who've been waiting to visit friends and family in the Philippines. President Rodrigo Duterte has authorized the reopening of the country for international travelers. The travel ban will be lifted effective February 10th for fully vaccinated arriving passengers. Here's more with Nestor Lecanto.
Acting presidential spokesman Carlo Nograles made the announcement from Malacañang Palace on Friday.
Fully vaccinated international arriving passengers shall be required to present a negative RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to departure from the country of origin. Upon arrival, they shall no longer be required to observe mandatory facility-based quarantine.
Airlines are required to ensure that passengers have proof of full vaccination prior to boarding, and they must be recognized under the Philippine COVID-19 Interagency Task Force guidelines. The reopening is meant to restore the tourism industry, which, like so many other countries, has plunged since the start of the pandemic. It's a plan that spokesman Nograles says was delayed because of the Omicron surge.
We were supposed to do this on December 1 pa. And then we suspended it. We announced it already as early as November. We were supposed to do it December 1. We suspended it. And then now we are implementing it again beginning on February 10.
Passengers will still be required to self-monitor for any COVID symptoms for 7 days after arrival.
This is something that we will continue to monitor. But as of today and as of the moment, we are seeing that it's widely Omicron. And we are only accepting fully vaccinated. And we hope that we could ramp up even more of our kababayan, fully vaccination for more of our kababayans.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Thanks, Nestor. And with your news in tomorrow, here's Kin Conception.
Buenas tardes, tigaits ng tubitunod sa morgen ni KUAM News. Presenta ni Familian Mito, the First Hawaiian Bank. Manahuzang ni Departamento de Salud Publiko segundo na tinalaikan flowchart no hafa paron sogi sa tanging positibo test mo para COVID-19. I-diferensya ni primet sa uno kung timabakuna haw kabalis sa seso haw umihod sa otro siya makarantina haw para 10 dias lo sinya haw matutun tado mates gimina 5 dias na tempo. Preo ha ipamalo siya na reglamento para di kabalis binakunan niya masyakulan malango haw padahi. Dito na isolate may sa haw para 10 dias na tempo. Imina 2 para di kabalis binakunan niya desta dulu kau ni booster pati kualifikau ansa na diferensya sa kumuhumiho tagi otro ni positibo test niya lo timalango sin temu pas para hafal ma quarantena para mates para umbira hau tatigi eskwela para itso mo pareo ay reglamento para di sa kabalas binakunan niya pamadula kau ni booster como positibo test mo debi don isolate mai saho para 5 dias masya timalango sin temu masa suntu I-goberno ni siya na may si Ralph Torres sa positibo test niya para COVID-19. Gi-press release, giling niya si Torres na humiyot gi-member ng familia niya no positibo test niya para COVID. Sa receive di COVID-19 antigen na test gi-Domingo, di 30 gi-Enero. Ana esta ma test just bihay sa negatibo yung resulto gi-antes di este na semana. Ilingan na masya positibo test niya, malik espiritu niya, dati experience sa isanenten este na chatnot. Manay agradecemento na esta mabakuna gwi sa madulog gwi ni booster. Sa siyempre quarantinan may sa gigiguman niya. Siguro niya reglamento ni COVID-19 na kinarantina. Ilingan na paro continuity tonya into internet pat telework mentas gay isolation. Do paro tsogi patenya paro na siguro naman sa familia niya iso na staff dan ni community dot. Mas artikulo na fanlisto hamzo mapasi mas para gasto ng elektrisidad. Inatisa ni gastos sa tinatisa na di na preban PUC gimapos na simana no mahal sa fuel surcharge no mafananan liyak ulog yung sentimo kada kilowatt na ora pero kinuri palo gigasto ng GPA para di under recovered fuel costs no balim 20.6 milyon pesos. Imediano na gastong power bills sa kaulo siyempre kasi 9 pesos 30 centimos kada mes sa tutungwe pag na dia. Yuto man na sunto gifinut sa moro para pago na martes kin ni KUAM News i GDOE sa ni Public Health sa para matutunamento zikling nagbinakuna gifinagpo eskwela pago na dia. Todo ya man kwalifika na estudyante numan masedi ni naman na niya sa man maeepok para fan madulog. I-primet segundo sa ni booster na dulog sa manggayi esta para i-tres na klase namo binakuna. Por favor, tali gato higi i-clinic. Ni certificate ng finanagan ni Padgon mo. Imanay na pa di guardian siya. David yung mapresenta loko iso niya ID card ni galita to. I-guardian siya sa David yung matsuli guati power of attorney. Zay menor de na famaguan. Sa David yung fanmaisgayon ni adopt siya. I-after school vaccination pago na dia sa i-order chalang pago elementary school. Diste las 3 kita luan is talas 6 kipupaynyi. Para Guam News Network, Walsikin Conception. Yasuto gifinut sa moro sa presenta sa ninafatto ni Familia Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, where you get smart insights into your finances so you can make smart decisions with your money. With a daily personalized feed, you can compare your monthly income to spending. That's better. Discover where your money is actually going. You might be surprised. See what's essential and what isn't. The more you use the app, the smarter it gets. With insights from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
Let us know what's up on our KOM News WhatsApp tip line at 671-727-0094. Share information about what's happening in your town, on Guam or the CNMI, and what you want us to know. Reach us on WhatsApp at 671-727-0094.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore. Stop on by and visit our showroom today. We offer everyday low prices on all major outdoor power equipment like bush cutter, chainsaw, power washer, generators, and more. Need service, repair, maintenance? Well, check out Guam's best superstore only at Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, located in Barragata along Army Drive between Submarina and Besta Market. Call 735-7446 for more information. Now shipping to surrounding islands. Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore.
Pizza Hut's stuffed crust is the crust that made crust good. topped and stuffed with over a half-pound of cheese. What are you so afraid of? Loving it? Original stuffed crust, only from Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Good morning. It's the first of the month. Finally, longest January ever. January.
And here comes the longest February ever.
No, February's going to go by quick.
Okay.
Calling it January.
Is
I
it a
don't know
leap
what-
year?
Is it? It's the year of the tiger, though. Happy Chinese New Year, Tomas.
Happy Lunar New Year.
Happy Chinese New Year. Also, it's Black History Month, is it not?
Yes, it is
Yeah.
Black History Month. Totally, Jay. Hello. It's also 13 days away from Valentine's Day, a.k.a. Super Bowl Monday.
Yeah. 13 days away. Gosh.
I mean, come on. You got every other Valentine's Day in history, ladies.
Can we get one? Okay, we'll go out and we'll buy.
Oh, boy.
We'll buy the roses and the chocolate and the champagne and the strawberries. Can you just get some nachos with the extra jalapenos on them? Just for the second and fourth quarters.
All right.
Tomas, are you a big football fan?
Yes.
I would hope so. You went to 2 schools for your undergraduate and graduate educations that have historically pretty good. Well, okay. Here's the thing, though. You realize you are a walking contradiction, right? You graduated from Cal and then you went to Stanford.
I remain loyal to the Bay, really East Bay. So.
Okay, so
that's where my
when they
loyalties
play
are.
the game,
Yeah,
when
I'm
Cal
rooting
plays
for
Stanford,
the
who
Golden
do
Bears.
you root for?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're Go Bears.
Yes.
All right.
Without a doubt.
Right on. You guys done with your little I went to college talk? So that can
I mean, I know how
I
much
was
of
jumping
a
on his nachos.
I know how much of a
sports
devout
nachos.
follower you are of Aaron Rodgers and his philosophies, anyway.
Oh
so.
gosh,
Yeah,
Jace.
that's right. 9:29. So we do this little thing, guys. It's called the Daily Question.
Yes.
And the Daily Question yesterday was the Guam Power Authority.
Yes.
Power bill increase. Tomas, can you set the table a little bit?
Yeah, well, starting today, the average power bill is going to be increased by about $9. And we asked our viewers what adjustments they're going to make given the rising cost of utilities, and also their thoughts on how GPA should address an under-recovered fuel costs, which is the reason why this is happening.
What does that mean in English? Under recovered fuel costs?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And so we had some of our viewers respond here. Esther on Facebook saying maybe take out all of the top executives who are sitting in their aircon offices. The savings alone can go to the fuel adjustment rate. At the rate we're going, many of our people will suffer. Please have some consideration and empathy for our people. Cindy on Facebook writes, I guess by having our power shut off, we can't afford to pay it, which should be soon as we're already struggling. James writing, people will struggle even more. Everything continues to increase in price, yet our paychecks remain stagnant. No wonder why many people are deciding to move to the U.S., and there will be many more. Where will these agencies find more people to try to spread these increases over? Maybe the government needs to lower the BPT temporarily and stop giving raises when they're supposedly cash-strapped. Also look into their operations to find ways to streamline processes and expenses to save money. That way, instead of always resorting to pushing more fees and rate increases on residents. Jumping over to our Instagram, one commenter writing, relocate to a free and affordable state. More people commenting, if they cannot cut the cost, they should revamp GPA and remove the manager. Another commenter writing, we need some candles and power banks. And one other comment they're reading, horrible, it's hard enough, and now this is added to the rest of our struggles. Another person saying, I guess I will be getting disconnected from time to time, especially if our increments are on hold. People saying no money, but always hiring. One other person writing, no, we are struggling already. This will bring a bigger burden. someone commenting, why is living here so expensive? And our last comment that we're sharing is someone writing, Gov Guam keeps siphoning more and more of the people's money from multiple increases in utilities to giving themselves pay raises. Gov Guam has no shame, it has no concerns of those suffering as long as they keep eating and buying lifted trucks. Ain't nothing else important. And so you can look at the comments there. Lots of people are responding to each other about what
they're buying lifted trucks. I did see one vehicle, man, it was like an Escalade or some like high-end SUV. I almost broke my neck, man. I was like, when you saw because you could see the government plates. I was driving to the airport, and it was like a white one, and I was like, holy, what the heck? And what was that?
And it was lifted?
It was one of those, not Escalade, one of those like...
Expedition or one of
those big ones, yeah.
Nice. With a big fancy name?
Yep, 933. Thank you, Tomas, for the daily question.
Yeah.
Any idea of today's?
Well, Daniel was covering the home test kits that have started arriving, so we're going to check in with folks to see if they've gotten their home test kit and how that's going.
Right on. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Tomas Maglonia from the KUAM news team.
Very compelling report.
Yeah, it's really very compelling.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
I was glued and riveted. Nobody commented, oh my God, it's only $10. Relax. Nobody at all commented that. Because if you do the math on it, I mean, it's $10 a month times 12. That's $120 a year.
I mean, how much is gas too, right?
Yeah, it's nuts. Yep. 934. Jason Solis, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. Wonderful interview coming up right now. We are going to talk to our friends from the Medical Assistant Student Organization over at the Guam Community College. This is a wonderful organization, and I was saying this earlier in the show. They participated in the homeless count right now, and making sure that we account for the people in our island community, who do not have a permanent place of residence, and making sure how is their mental health, how is their physical health, do they need anything, do we know how many there are? That's very, very important, and for these young people that are learning what it takes to be in Guam's unified healthcare system and actually be a part of that network and that community, very, very critical. So we welcome to the show Jeanette Yara, the president of the Medical Assistant Student Organization, as well as Cassandra Chang. She is the public relations officer. Ladies, good morning and half a day. So good to have you with us today.
Good morning.
And thank you for this this wonderful work that you're doing to help Guam. So can you maybe just tell me a little bit about the organization first, and how many people belong to the Medical Assistant Student Organization at GCC, and what is the primary mission?
Actually, Jason, so we are in, and yes, I am the president, and Cassandra is the PRO for the Medical Assistant Student Organization. But when we went out to do the count for the Guam homeless count, it was under the Medical Assisting Program, not the student organization.
All right. So, Cassandra, what is do you guys do a lot, since you are the PR officer and everything, do you do a student recruitment, or do you have to be declared under a particular major if you want to participate, and how can you get involved?
So basically, the Medical Assistant Student Organization is open to all the medical assistant students under the program. You do have to be in the program. We actually just welcomed a new cohort to the program. So it's pretty much open.
Mm-hmm. So basically, I would say the one thing that you do have to have on your resume or your LinkedIn profile is you do have to have a genuine calling to serve Guam and to want to take care of people, because Lord knows, even in these days, with the pandemic, healthcare is so necessary, and there's so many people getting involved because they want to say, I never considered being in healthcare, but I want to get in the fight. I want to take care of my neighbors. I want to take care of people I don't even know on the island. So what has it been, maybe for the last several months, the last couple of years that you guys have been involved with healthcare? Has it really given you new perspective on what it means to want to take up that profession?
Well, for me personally, I knew I've always wanted to be in healthcare. Mm-hmm. And the Medical Assistant Student Organization and the program in itself just opened up more opportunities for me to get involved into the community and to help others, especially, the one that we just did with the Guam Homeless Coalition. It was really eye-opening to see other people who are in need around us, and we don't we're not as aware of it. And yeah, it's been really great.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ms. Jeanette, when it comes to tabulating and making sure that we account for our island's homeless, that's usually something I know that normally falls under the umbrella of like social workers and everything like that. But this is very, very important for your organization like as well. So what was your roles of responsibility when you helped out with the homeless count?
This is not my first year doing it, but this year was the first year I was a team leader. So I had a team go out with me, and we had to identify. We were given maps with shaded areas so that we know what areas we're going to, and we had to while we were driving, we had to try and identify which homes were considered substandard under the HUD regulations. And again, this is the first year that I've done substandard homes. The previous years that I've done taken part in the homeless count, I've done the strictly homeless, on the street homeless.
Now there is an important distinction to be made, because a lot of people on Guam, they think when they say, oh, okay, well, we're putting together the homeless census, and people say, well, it's probably like 100, because I see some people, standing in the median, like with a big sign that says, God bless you, can you please help me? Or, they're all very, very unfortunate stories. But the spectrum of exactly who is considered by definition homeless is actually a lot wider than people would think.
Correct. And even when we did the interviews, when I was talking to people, and something that I had suggested to the team, to my team members when we go out, is maybe because we were doing the substandard homes, not to use the word homeless. Some people get offended, and so when I would start the interview, I would just of course introduce myself, tell them I'm with the Guam Coalition. I even left out the word homeless, and I would just tell them that we're doing a survey and we're interviewing those that were in substandard homes, just so that we can get a better count of the community in the substandard homes, so that the government can get better assistance for them.
That's very key, I would think, and that's something critical as you go into your professional careers as healthcare workers, is maintaining and ensuring the dignity of the client or the patient or the participant or the collaborator, what have you, whatever the situation calls upon, and everything like that. That's a very important thing to take into consideration.
Correct. And this was a good experience for us to practice our soft skills, our socializing skills, especially in the era that we're in now. Everybody, it's all technology. People sometimes don't know how to, or they don't feel comfortable talking face to face to someone because they're not used to it.
Exactly.
And so in our field, that's something we're going to need to do, and so this was a good practice for us.
Now, Cassandra, if I may, with our job over here at KUM, when the pandemic first started, making sure that we take care of our islands, like homeless, was so important, because elected leaders were even saying, and people that work in various government agencies, is they were like, we have to make sure that these people have access to resources whenever a vaccine comes out, and obviously it has now. We need to make sure that they can get that as well. We have to make sure that they have a safe and clean place to stay, because we don't want them spreading the disease throughout the community as well, the virus, I should say. So what did you learn about maybe like the methods that you applied to to find out these people and to gather the data?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Oh, okay. So what did you learn about, like, what method did you guys use when you did gather the data, or you helped out with the Guam Homeless Coalition?
So prior to going to the homeless count, we were tested. 2 days prior, we were tested, and obviously if you came back positive, you weren't able to participate. We were fit tested also for N95 masks. So each person participating in the count wore one. We were also given extra ones just in case the first one that we wore would somehow not be able to be, used. We were also given face shields and extra masks for those that we would survey and they probably wouldn't have a mask available to them. We would give them a mask just to make sure that, we're all being safe, especially with what's going on now.
What did this experience teach the both of you, and maybe even Jeanette, maybe more broader? What did this teach your team, and what lessons can you take away from this experience that you might not be able to learn in a Zoom call or on a book or in some sort of lesson and everything like that. Certainly, this experience was invaluable to the both of you.
So for me, I am I believe I'm the oldest one out of the class. So my views compared to some of the other classmates may be different because a lot of them are younger and may not have experienced something like this before. Like I said, I've experienced working with the homeless community. I've worked with Guam Behavioral before. So the work I've done with people may be different than what my younger classmates have experienced. But for me, I know when we were talking, looking at the different substandard homes, so sometimes we take for granted what we have, and even personally when I talk to my kids about it, I try to remind them, we may not have everything, but you should be grateful for what you do have. This is the kind of work I'm doing. Of course, because of confidentiality, there's not too much I can say, but I was able to describe like some of the homes that people are living in, and some people they choose to live the way they do. It's not necessarily that they don't have a place to go, but it could just be property inherited from family, and they want to stay there. And so some of them just want a little shack. They're comfortable with that, and it's not necessarily that they can't have a better home. It's just a personal preference, and we have to remember that some people just like simple, and we can't judge others just because of what they live in. I know quite a few people who they have the means to go and rent or build a home, but they like the ranch style kind of life, or they like the rain hitting on the tin, because they're a little bit older, and that's what they enjoy. So it's not necessarily, and that's something, especially now there's even other nonprofit organizations that I'm part of, and the judging has, at least for me personally, has really come down a lot. I can't sit there and judge a person just by how they look or what they wear, what they live, what car they're driving.
That is a beautiful message, Jeanette. Thank you for sharing that. That's a type of honesty and the type of pragmatism that I think we really, really need, and certainly that our unified healthcare system is greatly going to benefit. So that's wonderful. Cassandra, how about you? Do you have anything to share about what this experience taught you?
I have to strongly agree with Jeanette. It was a very humbling experience. She's right. Working in healthcare, it is easy to judge those that we help, and just doing this, it opened our eyes. And it's not everyone has what we have. Not everyone is fortunate like us, and I feel like that really taught us that we don't all come from the same place, and it's
Would even that being the case, would you say that there was a little bit of empathy that you were able to take away?
Yeah.
And even though somebody may be in a very unfortunate situation, or like Jeanette said, some people just make the decision and they're happy as a clam to live in the situation that they're in. Did you feel like you were able to take away some sort of commonality with the people that you interacted with?
Yes, absolutely. It also taught us how to talk to those people, dealing with different backgrounds and different, like, for example, the living situations. It taught us how to communicate with them and to empathize and to be sincere and to not, kind of like a watch what you say kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I absolutely know what you're talking about. Like, the best life lesson I ever got when I started here at KUM 22 years ago, a really good friend of mine, he's no longer with us, but he used to be Sabrina's on-air partner, and he said, best advice I can give you is when you go on the air and you do TV, hear it in your brain before you hear it come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like the same thing and everything like that. You have that understanding, and you want to make sure that you really have a grasp of of what you're trying to do. So, ladies, thank you so much for sharing this experience, and again, doing what you can for our island community. May I ask though, do you guys have like an Instagram feed for your organization, or is there a page where people can check out if they have been inspired by this interview and they'd like to say, hey, I saw Jeanette and Cassandra talk about this wonderful thing, I want to get involved, I'm in, they sold me?
Yes, we do have an Instagram. It is gcc.maso. It's for our student organization. On the Instagram, we do post updates, especially our fundraisers. Our fundraisers tend to be very popular. So anyone can follow and just share along in our journey as medical assistant students.
Very nice. And it is a very, very necessary journey. And Jeanette, I'd like to give you the last word because like you said, this isn't your first go around, not your first rodeo doing this. So you've got a lot of experience, obviously, but maybe more to the point, you've got a lot of compassion and you've got a lot of drive, and you're doing this for all the right reasons. So thank you.
So Jason, I do want to say, for the community or those watching, if maybe they've never heard of the Guam Homeless Coalition, the pit count that's done yearly, because all the times I've been on Guam, I never heard it until I think I first started it about 4 or 5 years ago. And it could just be because I wasn't in tune with that with the homeless community or the human services, social work kind of aspect. But there's some people who may not even know we do this, and they need volunteers. If you're able to volunteer, this is done yearly at the end of January, every year. So if you can come out and volunteer to help out the Homeless Coalition.
And you know what? It's official right now. We are technically at the end of January. It's February 1st, so no time like the present. If you guys feel this is not a job, it's a calling, and if you feel you have the motivation and the compassion within you to get involved with these wonderful ladies and their team as well and everything, please get involved with the Medical Assistant Student Organization over at GCC. Ladies, congratulations to you, and thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
We'll talk to you guys soon. Anytime you guys want to come on the show, man. Like I love talking to people who love Guam and love making our island community so much better. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right.
Thank you, ladies. Be safer. All right.
Good people doing good things, man.
I love it, man, Jay. Like-minded folks, bro, and you're a good one too. 9:50. We're brought to you by Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box. We're going to take just a quick break, and we're coming back to wrap up the show. Next, right here on The Link. Good morning.
Hafa Guam, our community partner, APL, invites the public to a donation drive to benefit Harvest House right here at home. Join us on Saturday, February 5th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Costules in Tamuning, where we will be accepting donations. Your contribution would go a long way to supporting our community and those who have come to rely on Harvest House. Any and all donations are welcome. Thank you, Guam. APL, Better Ways.
KUAM Communication is your go-to source for the biggest national and international sports events. Check out KUAM TV 8 and KUAM TV 11 for the biggest sports specials, championships, and events from every court, track, field, and playing ground. We're bringing you all the action and excitement. Brought to you locally by Marianas Irrigation and Landscape and Docomo Pacific. Join Nestor Lacanto for virtual in-depth discussions with the movers and shakers in our community every Wednesday on In Full Zoom. Presented by IT&E and Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
We want to see your football fan love in time for Valentine's Day and the big game on February 14th. KUAM News and KUAM Digital are rounding up and showcasing football lovers all over the island every day before the big game and giving one lucky fan and their loved ones the chance to win the ultimate game day Valentine's bash at home. All you got to do is send an email to promotions@KUAM.com with the subject Love and Football, or tag and send a DM to the KUAM News page on Instagram. Make sure to include your name and contact info and your love and football story. Each and every submission will be entered to win a Game Day Love Fest at their home on Valentine's Day, including a brand new 65-inch 4K TV from Buddy's Home Furnishings, party platters from participating restaurants delivered by Uno Go, beverages and swag from Heineken and Soli, sweet treats, roses for your loved ones, and much more. One lucky winner will be announced on the air on February 11th. Some conditions apply. Winner must be a resident of Guam, must be 21 years or older, and must be available to be featured in a live shot from their home on Game Day, Monday, February 14th.
See KUAM.com for complete rules and regulations. Love and Football is presented by Uno Go and Buddy's Home Furnishings. Let us show you why Buddy's is better. Jamaican Grill, Yaman, together we can. Heaven Sent, the essence of all things beautiful. The Bottle Shack, Heineken and Stoli. Enjoy responsibly. And CS Cafe.
Buenas Sanhafadi. Part of taking care of yourself is participating in cancer screening. Make it a point to see your doctor at least once a year for an annual visit to discuss your risk and to determine which tests are right for you. Many tests are free or covered by insurance, and there may be programs to help those who don't have insurance. Cancer screening can save your life. There are screening tests that can catch cancer early when it may be easier to treat. So learn more at cancer.org/getscreened.
Join Nestor Lacanto for virtual in-depth discussions with the movers and shakers in our community every Wednesday on In Full Zoom. Presented by IT&D and Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Each morning on Breeze 93.9 FM.
Hey, Jay. Before we go, Can you tell the people where to take their medicine?
Yes, if you want to get vaccinated today, go to tinyurl.com/VAX Guam. Sorry. COVID Stops With Me is testing. tinyurl.com/VAX Guam is to get tested, and you can get tested at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse today. Remember, UOG is open every day except Thursdays and Sundays to get tested. They are 9 to 5. So please make an appointment. Go be seen. They will definitely take care of you. The process is very, very fast. They've got it down to a science. If you need to go somewhere more regional to you, you can also make an appointment to be also using that same URL, tinyurl.com/COVID Stops With Me, and you can get your shot at the Dedido or Inalahan Regional Health Center. If you need to be tested today, then you can still go to your private clinic.
All right. Cool. Hey, Burger King is proud to present Cover Me right here on The Link, which is brought to you by Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, ITN, and Jack in the Box. We're just talking behind the scenes here.
You're telling me to stretch for some reason. That's why I was like,
yeah, because they Cover Me. It's this darn Christmas song again. That's a good one, though.
We didn't have anything more contextual, I guess.
Okay.
Nothing about Chinese New Year.
Nothing, yeah. We'll take it back, though. But anyway, happy Chinese New Year.
Yes.
It's Year of the Tiger. There was something I read, guys. Here, just stand by, sir.
Again, the Year of the Tiger this year. So. And Joser singing Survivor.
Yeah, so it is the Year of the Tiger. And what does that mean for people who are tigers? Well, it means, guess what? That you're going to have a great year, according to the Chinese horoscope. So
we hope.
What's your sign, Jay?
I was born in 74, so.
Oh, well, guess what? So was I.
Okay, you know what? And I would like to actually share, apparently, my good fortune with everybody out there, all my fellow Guamanians. Let's all have a really good year this year. And that means we got to do what we got to do to get there.
Let's go ahead, and I just want to highlight the Year of the Tiger, guys. If you're born this year or in, it's 1950, 62, 74, 86, 98, and 2010, then you are a tiger. And tiger characteristics are that, okay, now I can't find it.
Which is interesting because I guess in the Chinese lunar calendar, I'm tiger, but in the zodiac symbol, I'm a Taurus.
Yeah, I'm a Virgo, which is the best sign. Well, the animals are
you're
assigned...
You're playful, aren't you?
They're assigned based on a 12-year cycle, making 2022, of course, the Year of the Tiger. The tiger is known to be the king of all beasts, and it's seated third in the Chinese zodiac order of animals. If you're a tiger sign, you share commonality with a number of notable celebrities, to include Queen Elizabeth, Lady Gaga,
the Queen,
Leonardo.
In both cases.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Those born during a tiger year are said to possess some of the qualities of the animal itself, including courageous, assertive, and natural leaders. Tiger signs are said to be hungry for thrill and crave attention, not to mention short-tempered, but capable of generosity.
Okay, if you took nothing away from that, it was the crave attention part.
Right.
For all of us.
All right, Jay, thank you. Good job today, my friend.
All right, good show.
As always.
Please, everybody be safe. Check out our website if you need to know any information about testing, about vaccination, about what's going on.
Thank you, guys. KUM TV, it's been a blast. We're going to go now. We'll be back at you tomorrow morning, Wednesday, Hump Day, on The Link. For Sabrina Salas, Matanani, Joe Sir, and Jason, my name is Chris Esta. Adios.
Happy Tuesday, one day closer to Super Bowl.